You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa Card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 Suspension and Bodyweight Training System. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
From the Israel Sports Radio Studios in Jerusalem, Israel, our nation's capital, it's Louis Live! There's your host, me, and Raphael Gelli. How you doing, Raphael?
Good. How you doing, Ari?
Doing great. Game 2 of the NBA Finals tonight. Dwayne Wade had some interesting comments about the city of Oklahoma City.
Right.
David Stern had some interesting comments for Jim Rome.
That was a... Wait, before we continue, do not like to be wrong a lot, but I will apologize about last night's feud about the Hornets.
That's correct.
I did my research. I did my research, and the Hornets, you're right. I was wrong, and I should pay my dues, so... My bad, Ari.
Yeah, I was going to go into that. It's... In fact, there is even the Zach lied. I was going to read this here. I'll try to go 1 second here. Okay. Well, sorry, 1 minute. That's funny now. I can't find it because I tried to embarrass you. I guess that's probably why.
It's karma. I apologize. No need to embarrass
I want to rub this in a little bit. I have to look for it later, I guess.
We have listeners listening, all right. Let's keep it personal later.
But anyways, yeah. But that was the reason why the quote unquote the idea of the lottery being fixed was that the team is still owned by the NBA, and the transaction has not been finalized to the new owner, the new future owner of the Hornets. So that's why it's still being talked about, even though the draft lottery was a few weeks ago. We'll get to that later on, and the 5:30 hour about the 5:30 segment about all that. But let's get started. We're going to dial up a soccer person.
Right.
Tell us a bit about it.
Mark Serber from Fox Sports.
Wow, okay.
He's been on before. He's a good guy. Talked to him a lot on T-Chat about all the matches going on. And we're going to talk Euro with him. And
yes. Okay, so we're gonna get up the number and dial him up. Now, one of the things also want to mention, Game 2, of course, is going to be here in Israel, I believe, 3 in the morning. 4 in the morning, excuse me. 4 in the morning. So if you want to stay up for that, game should be over about 6:30. You could also, some people like, I think I'm going to sleep and wake up before the end of it. Still kind of planning that out, hard to tell. It's going to be a big game, obviously, because Heat don't want to go down 2-0 going to Miami. But if they win this game, they get the home court advantage. So it's really a swing game, very pivotal. Game 2 at OKC. They were even for basically for the first 3 quarters in Game 1, and then OKC took it over in the 4th quarter. Kevin Durant obviously owned that quarter. LeBron James only scored 7 points. He a bit of the GOAT as well as Dwayne Wade. Only scored 19 points total for the game. Some people think Flash has lost a step. He was actually asked about that, denied that. So,
well, of course he denied that.
What is he gonna say? Not going to admit that. Yeah, 6 years ago, of course, was his fabulous NBA Finals MVP performance. Some said it's actually the greatest NBA Finals performance in history, even better than MJ's 6 times, as far as just in a particular series. Dwayne Wade was great, but that was 6 years ago. It might be a little bit different right now. And came out of Marquette, so he's a little bit older than LeBron James. And not that he's too old or too many too many tires ran or whatever you say, tracks ran, that type of thing. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's keep going and talk about that. Also, of course, perfect game thrown last night. We'll get to probably more of that with Cub Bunin. And these perfect games, his pitching really has taken up a whole new level in the past couple of years since the players stopped taking steroids. In the last couple of years, I think we've seen 10 no-hitters. So truly incredible that the pitching performance is going on. And so just another one that happened last night. So we've had 2 perfect games this year. That's a rarity because a perfect game happens out once every 5 years. If you look at it, I think there have been about 22 perfect games in Major League history in its 110 years or so. So it's about once every 5 years, but we've had 2 in about a month. So really impressive stuff right there. And, of course, later on at about 7:15, we're going to have Lori Brownstone to talk about the L.A. Kings. She did predict that the Kings would win in 6, and they did, even though they're the 8th seed. And they're a young team. Jonathan Quick, of course, Conn Smythe winner. And they may be able to repeat as champions. You never know. And probably the end for Marty Brodeur, 40 years old. Made a good run. Had the Devils won, he would have been the Conn Smythe because he really led the team. But it may be all over for Marty. Maybe he doesn't want to go out that way, but only one team obviously gets to go out to only one team gets to be champion obviously at the end of the day. Okay, so I'll tell you, let's take a commercial break, and again, want to remind everyone to listen to the store. Go to the store, not listen to it, but to go to the store. You click on the store tab, and there's a lot of great items there for sale. This is Louis live at IsraelSportsRadio.com.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event into the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live, we're about to dial up Mark Serber, who really good guy, really impressive what Mark is. And we just want to get his title here so we get it exactly, that he is the on-air talent at Fox Sports International. So it'll be a pleasure to get him on. We're going to dial him up in about a minute. And just as a little bit of everything, he's a contributing writer at U.S. Footblog, director of broadcast and media relations, Anaheim Bolts also as well. So does a little of everything. And so we'll dial him up right now. And thank you for everyone for joining us here on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio. Last show of the week before you go into Shabbat. Hope everyone's having a good day out there. And we'll dial up Mark momentarily here.
That's a clown question, bro.
Hi, am I speaking with Mark? Hello, Mark? Mark, can you hear us? Okay, looks like we're having some difficulty there. We'll try to dial him up again. Could be in a bad location. We'll We'll try to reach
By
him
the way,
here.
what I was saying, Ari, did you hear about what I was saying? That's a clown question, bro. When someone in Canada asks Bryce Harper if he's going to drink alcohol because he's 19 and the drinking age there is 19, Bryce Harper said to him, that's a clown question, bro. I don't know if you got to see that.
Oh, yeah. He was one of the reporters asked him that?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
And, of course, he's Mormon, so...
Oh, Bryce Harper's Mormon? I know that.
He is Mormon.
Huh, interesting. Okay. Okay, he was able to hear us, but we were not able to hear him.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're going to dial him, and we'll keep the rainer on just to make sure we can hear the raining. Try to get, again, Mark on. Let's let the raining up here.
Hello.
Hi, Mark. This is Ari Louis. You're live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. How you doing out there?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Oh, doing great. It's a pleasure to have on now on-air talent at Fox Sports International, Mark Serber. And I'm going to introduce now to my co-host, Raphael.
How you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
I am doing good. I'm ready to talk about a lot of stuff. I want to actually, I want to be boring and start off with non-Euro talk, some transfer talk, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, well, there's still a lot of rumors going on with different moves, and it's always weird to have this going on in the Euro, especially when some of the players who are rumored to leave their clubs and stuff are playing in international play. But I want to start off with a very big thing in English soccer. Of course, Harry getting fired from Tottenham after 4 years. Last night they were reporting that it was he was resigning. Now it's being reported that he's being fired. So not sure what to think about that. I mean, had a pretty solid season with Tottenham. I was in the top three for pretty much the whole season until last month, where they kind of just collapsed. Why do you think they made this move, and who can they replace? How can they replace Harry Redknapp?
You know, I was thinking about this, and with Harry Redknapp gone and they're not making the Champions League, my thought is this the end of Tottenham and their reign? I mean, they were building up something very special. Now, if Redknapp's gone and all of a sudden Modric and Van der Vaart and Bale go, where's Tottenham going to go? They might drop back into mid-table obscurity. There were so many different things at play here. A lot of it is just a back and forth between Daniel Levy and Harry Redknapp.
Right.
And also is what Harry Redknapp had in his contract. There were so many clauses that he wanted change, as well as salary. And with them not making the Champions League, they couldn't do that, because all of a sudden all that money they were banking on, not only for new players, but to keep Harry Redknapp on board, is not there anymore. And so Redknapp and Levy, they couldn't come to an agreement. So, it's really hard to tell what's going on. I think this is almost the worst time to be a soccer fan in terms of transfer rumors, because you're reading everything and you don't know, what's guessing and what's real news, especially, in the middle of a tournament when you think every player would just be focusing on the tournament itself. So you're wondering what's real and what the press is just throwing up. As for the Redknapp thing, the big thing that you can say against Redknapp is, before the whole England thing came up, they were something like 14 points clear of Arsenal in third place. And after the whole conjecture about the England job and whether or not Redknapp was going to take it, that's when they went into their slump. And so some people are saying Daniel Levy felt let down by what happened when Redknapp was being considered for England, and that maybe he took his eye off the ball a little bit. But I think the biggest thing, whether he resigned, whether he was sacked, is just that when they failed to make the Champions League, all of a sudden the money wasn't there, and they had to decide between either a purse for the transfer kitty or a purse to pay Redknapp and to change the clauses in his contract. And you couldn't have one or the other, so Levy made a decision.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to bring up with you next. Of course, he was it seems like he was rumored to be the next England manager for 3 or 4 or 5 months when really the FA kind of announced that he was never really in contention, which just shows how much the media kind of pushed him being hired. But you made a great point. A lot of great players in Tottenham that really, for people out there who don't know, the way it works in soccer is you get a lot of money for making, Champions League, Europa League. But obviously Champions League, a lot more money than Europa League. And, Gareth Bale is a guy who pretty much, if Tottenham announces that they're, going to transfer him or get some money for him, I think any team, everyone's going to want him. I think that a month ago or 3 weeks ago, Abiador signed a contract with Tottenham and, kind of got rid of the Man City loan title. So I don't know if he's going to want to stay there now, if everyone's going to leave. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I don't know. It's you kind of got to feel bad for the way it worked out for everyone. Just if also another thing to note, if Chelsea loses the Champions League, they're in the Champions League. So Chelsea kind of screwed them over by winning the Champions League. And if they would have won, or if they would have lost to Munich, then probably none of this would have happened, and we'd be talking about Tottenham maybe being in the top 3 in the standings next year. So interesting stuff there. In better news, Roberto Di Matteo from Chelsea just got signed to a 2-year contract, which I was kind of surprised to see, knowing all the crazy stuff that Roman does. He's kind of a crazy dude for people out there who don't know the owner of Chelsea, Ibrahimovic. But are you a little surprised by this? A 2-year deal? For a while it was rumored to be a 1-year deal. Now it's a 2-year deal. I'm a little bit shocked. What do you think?
I think the thing that most people are saying is that the reason it is a 2-year deal is the payout would be either less or more, considering that you feel that Abramovich still wants Pep Guardiola. And so once Guardiola makes himself truly available, Abramovich might go after him. And so by having a 2-year deal, Roberto Di Matteo gets a little bit more of a severance package when they do let him go. So that's kind of like the joke. But, I mean, you feel that there's no way you can let a guy go who's just won you the FA Cup and the Champions League.
Right.
The one thing that they could have said is, Chelsea was in a pretty good position to qualify directly for the Champions League in one of those top 4 places, and Di Matteo didn't help them in the league. But when you win the Champions League, you just can't get fired. There's really no way around it. I mean, we were joking last time you were on the show, if you win the Champions League, what else do you have to do to keep your job? And I think, Abramovich found his breaking point. All right, I can't let this guy go. He did win us the Champions League. He deserves something. But, it's still very possible that Abramovich gets Guardiola or, sees somebody else who's, perhaps more a desirable name out there, and all of a sudden, Di Matteo is no longer the Chelsea coach, but now that he has a 2-year contract, he's walking away with a pretty big check, and he could go on vacation for a while if he wanted to. Also, after what he's done, he'll get a job pretty quickly as well. But this is something that Di Matteo deserves, and I'm happy that Chelsea came around on it.
Right, that's a good point. Of course, everyone's kind of waiting to see what Pep's going to do. I mean, some people say I don't know. This is what people say, not what I think, but he's one of the greatest managers of all time. I don't know if you can necessarily say that just judging him by his stint at Barca, but definitely a proven guy in our decade or in the last 20, 30 years. You made a great point that they're going to try and get him. But still, a 2-year deal for a guy who's fired, 9 coaches in the last, 8 years or 6 years, including our boy and our homegrown Israeli, Avram Grant, when they lost the Champions League final. I mean, people still don't really understand that in Israel, how you could fire, when you're Jewish, why you would fire an Israeli owner for getting you all the way to the Champions League and pretty much just losing because John Terry makes a knucklehead move. And then, ever since then, Grant hasn't really been able to, live. I don't want to. He's had some stints in little clubs, Portsmouth, I think, West Ham, and then he was in Serbia this year with Partizan. I think Partizan's in Serbia, right? Or is it Croatia?
No, it's in Serbia.
It is in Serbia, yeah. And then I think he left there after 5 months. He just hasn't been the same since that happened. So, I don't know. That's just some Israel bias, though, on Israel Sports Radio. Next.
No, for sure. But I think the thing to remember is that in Abramovich's eyes, that a sexier name came along, and he's attracted to big names and big players. Not win the game and coaches with big reputations, and so he went for not what I have is good enough. It's this is as Real Madrid would say, it's a Galactico. I've got to have him at all cost.
Right.
And so when Auguste didn't get Carlo Ancelotti, those guys became available. Avram Grant, might be getting the job done, but he's not as sexy sounding as these other guys, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we'll see what happens with Di Matteo, and obviously wish him best of luck. It's pretty amazing what he can do, considering Chelsea would have a bunch of weird ties or losses in the Premier League, and then they'd just roll in the Champions League and then play really well in the FA Cup against Liverpool. It was kind of a year like that in the Premier League. I mean, Liverpool was able, in the English, in England, Liverpool was able to make the FA Cup and win the Carling Cup when they had a horrible, horrible season in the Premier League. So interesting to note that. But moving on now to I guess Euro talk, since I guess it's time for that. Russia fined $150,000 for their fans going nuts. Everyone knew this was going to happen, really. It was just an issue of when and how and where and all that. Of course, the history with Russia and Poland and everything from World War II. And, just everything there. It's still very bitter for both countries. But I wanted to kind of examine this in a different way. Do you think that a federation should get fined and potentially lose points based on the actions of their fans? This is something that's been going on in soccer for a long time. Some people say yes, some people say no. So what are your thoughts, Mark?
I think so, because who else are you going to go after? And if you're a true fan of your country and you see that your team's getting in trouble because of you would probably want to cool it. You don't want to be the reason that your team that's on the brink of qualification is all of a sudden no longer able to continue in a tournament. And the bottom line is, as hard as it is, it's the same thing with clubs. Federations need to control their fans or figure out a way to not let their hooligans get across the borders into these tournaments. And, it's kind of one of those cases of, where else do you go? I mean, you can punish the individuals, but obviously when there's so many of them, then there's somebody who's going to ultimately have to answer to it. And so even though, a bunch of guys, sitting in an office in Moscow somewhere can't necessarily control every single crowd member, they're still the ones who ultimately have to answer for it.
Right. I mean, the interesting part about it is that the UEFA warned Russia. I mean, they told them, don't do anything stupid. I mean, I remember reading this article like it was yesterday saying, if you do something stupid, we're going to punish you. And the fans, I don't have anything against Russians, but the fans obviously didn't listen, and a bunch of stewards got beat up and had to go to the hospital. And the big thing here is, I'm still trying to, maybe you'll know more about this, is that they're saying that if it happens again, Russia could get suspended 6 points, or be deducted 6 points for their qualifying for the World Cup, which, you know what, I'd be the happiest person in the world, because Russia's in Israel's group for the World Cup. So I don't want to root for violence, but deep down inside, I might have to. I know it's a horrible thing to say, and I probably shouldn't say that on radio. But, I mean, Israel having a 6-point advantage against a team like Russia, who's a very, very good team, in my opinion, I don't know. So what are you hearing about that 6-point deduction? I think they're saying for a repeat offense.
I think the 6-point deduction, and I could be wrong, would go towards Euro 2016.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at it now. My apologies. I guess maybe I was just wishing it was the World Cup.
I think one of those things where the Russian Federation suffers, but if you're a fan and, you're partaking in some of this violence, and you say, well, if I really care about my country and I really care about the soccer team, then I'm going to chill out a little bit. I think, sadly, these fines that UEFA, and FIFA have issued out over the years, have really been Mickey Mouse. I mean, $150,000 seems like a lot, but the Russian Federation has that money. They're not really taking too big of a hit. But if you're talking about not qualifying for a tournament, then all of a sudden that's affecting the players. That's affecting the economy. I mean, talk about when England didn't make the Euros a couple tournaments back, 2008, when they didn't make that tournament, all of a sudden it was, that's going to cost their economy like $1 billion in terms of pubs, in terms of travel, in terms of stuff bought.
Right.
That's going to be the same in Russia. So all of a sudden, you're talking about a much bigger thing than soccer. I think a points deduction is quite brilliant, really. It's harsh, but it's brilliant.
Yeah, and of course, it's again, to clarify, it's for a repeat offense. So, in the tournament's long, and it looks like Russia's probably going to be advancing. So, it'll be interesting to see what exactly happens with that. I would hope, for no violence, that they'll decide to kind of relax. And I don't understand why. Okay, the first time they did it, they got their point. They did some fighting, blah, blah, blah. So, move on now. You don't want to hurt your team anymore. Imagine what the fans will feel like if that does happen. So we'll see what happens. And now we can finally get to the actual tournament, Euro 2012, which has been, I don't want to say it's been one of the best tournaments. It's been an interesting tournament, but not the most exciting tournament, at least in my opinion. But today, last night, of course, there was Germany, Netherlands, and we'll get to that after we talk about today's matches. But today we have Italy, Croatia, which is a very intriguing match because Croatia is a very strong team, a lot of talent. Of course, Modric from Tottenham, and Italy. Who knows what Balotelli is going to do? I kind of want to talk about that play that Balotelli had when he was just dribbling towards the goal, and he just kind of looked like he started daydreaming in the middle of that play. So what do you think was going on in his head when that happened?
I think the top psychologists all around the world have tried to figure out at certain times what's going on in Balotelli's head. You just really don't know. 1 second he's doing something amazing, the next second he's trying something crazy in front of goal that no one else would do. You just never know what you're going to get with him. If he, everybody says he can mature, he'll be one of the best players in the world. But I think now would be a perfect time for him to start growing rapidly. Italy-Spain was a pretty decent game. Spain is playing with a false number 9. Italy has been having problems in attack. For both of them to get a goal, I think based on the run of play, it was a pretty fair result. Ireland obviously didn't offer the same kind of resistance that we expected from them against Croatia, but Croatia is still just such a solid team, and they have players like Modric who can change the game on their head, but they also have a very good, solid team base. So I think, Italy-Croatia is going to be defining, because I think Spain, takes 3 points against Ireland, finds their way through, and all of a sudden Italy-Croatia decides what needs to happen on the final day.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be maybe a theme of this tournament. Maybe it's a theme of all tournaments. But, we'll see what happens. I think this Italy-Croatia match is going to be important. If Croatia, of course, won their last match, if Croatia wins again, I think Italy would be out, no? Because then Croatia would have 6 points and Spain would have 6 points, and then Italy can catch up.
Well, Spain would have 4 points.
Oh, wow, you're right. Spain tied against Italy. That's very true. I forgot about that. You're right. So it will come down to the last day, and it'd be amazing. And I kind of like to root for the underdogs. If Ireland could somehow pull the upsets of all upsets, of course, if Tommy Smith out there is listening, or probably not listening, but I know he's obsessed with Ireland because he's Irish. He'd probably be the happiest person in the world. But is there a chance in hell that Ireland could beat Spain? If Spain, because let's be honest, Spain didn't play that well the first match. I know it was against a strong Italy team, but they really got criticized for not having a forward or striker. I don't know. The Irish team, I've been saying on the show the last week, Mark, is pretty much a bunch of guys playing on lower teams in England. In the Premier League. Sunderland, Aston Villa, a lot of the players are from there. So I don't know how they beat a Spanish team with guys from Man City and Barca. And so what do you think, though? Any chance?
I think it's slim to none, but crazier things have happened, especially in the Euros. But I do see Ireland, fixing the mistakes they made against Croatia and offering a bit more resistance this afternoon. But I think ultimately Spain, does find a way through. Sometimes, Spain's passing is glorious to watch, and when they carve open a defense, it's just unbelievable. But, sometimes it's almost hard to watch because it's pass. You're like, all right, what are you actually going to attack the goal, especially when they're playing? Hey, yes, I am. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, it's us. It's our internet went out. It's the most frustrating thing in the world because everything runs through the internet, and when our internet goes out, it messes everything up. But you're back on air, and I think our listeners are with us. They're with us. Sorry, we're good. We're good. So anyway, I forget where we were, but I want to move on to something else because now I guess we're running out of time. We have about 7 minutes left. Last night's game, probably was a game everyone circled on their calendar. Really a boring game. In the first half, Germany dominated. In the second half, the Dutch dominated, but the Dutch couldn't score a second goal. Or maybe not in the second half, the Dutch dominated, maybe 65th minute on, and then they had a little spurt there from the 70th minute to the 80th minute, and then after that it disappeared. What are your thoughts about this Dutch team? Very inconsistent, a lot of problems with the defense. I remember you telling us that on our last segment. The defense is a huge concern. What are you expecting from this team going forward? They're going to need a miracle now to advance.
Some people were saying, maybe perhaps they're a bit over the hill after the 2010 World Cup, that was their best chance of winning something. I didn't agree with that, but I'm starting to see that maybe it is time for a bit of a reshuffle. The biggest thing to me was last night they looked very stagnant. Their patented total football, the 4-4-3 formation, or 4-3-3 rather, is all about movement, constantly interchanging positions and passing and movement and fluidity of the game. And last night they just looked very, very stagnant going forward, and it was like they were just relying on Schneider, relying on Robin, relying on Van Persie to come up with that moment of magic to help carry him through. And they only had it happen once, obviously, but not twice, and therefore dropping all 3 points. So I think the biggest thing to me was talking about the defensive end is Bert Van Marwijk went with 2 holding midfielders in that middle 3. And the Young and Van Bommel were just absent. On both goals that Germany scored, you could draw a square in the center of the field from about the box to about 20 yards out into the midfield, right in the center. And no one was there. And so Schweinsteiger was hanging back almost with the defensive line and making these late-breaking runs into that area. And he would get the ball, and then he would take a touch and play 2 beautiful balls into Gomez, who obviously did the rest. But if he wanted to, he could have had a cup of tea before he sent those passes in. Such was the space. So you have the stagnation going forward and just terrible marking backwards, and you're obviously going to lose, especially to a team like Germany. Hello?
Yeah, you there with us, Mark?
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Mario Gomez right now, 3 goals in the tournament. A long time people were saying that Klose would start over him. I never really got that. Klose's old. Has been on Lazio for the past year. Didn't really do that much there. I guess he played a good season, but Mario Gomez so far has definitely been the best player of the tournament, no?
Yeah, Mario Gomez has been on fire. Both finishes, clinical, composed. The thing about that is I remember, 2008, Gomez was missing from right in front of the goal, so I'm happy to see that he's able to carry his Bayern Munich form over to Germany as well, and he's just done a tremendous job, and it's not just his finishing, but it's the runs he's making to get in those positions. On the first goal, that turn he made was just exquisite.
Right, and it's great to see him being so successful because I've always been a fan of him. But another guy who's done a great job, and got to give him a shout out and some love, is Shevchenko. A lot of people were saying too old to even be called up for the team, 35. He's now playing in Dynamo Kiev, which is a powerhouse team in Ukraine, but not a big European team, definitely a Europa League team. I think Maccabi Tel Aviv played them in Europa League this year and tied them, so that shows how bad of a team they are. No offense to Maccabi Tel Aviv. But 2 goals, 2 amazing goals against a good Sweden team featuring probably one of the best players in the world, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What do you think of the 35-year-old showing, in his home country, really representing himself and the national team?
Well, I mean, obviously a brilliant performance. I think sometimes you have a guy like that who's a symbol, of your country, and his presence, whether he's on form or not, is just going to raise up the level of the team. I think, that's the reason he's in there. Now, he's also proved to us on a footballing standpoint, he can still do it. He can get the job done. He's making the right runs, doing the right things, and can obviously put the ball away. Both goals, the Swedish defense a little bit culpable, but Shevchenko still getting there, just, showing flashes of what he used to do when he was at Dinamo Kiev as a youngster, and then at AC Milan when he was one of the best players in the world. And I think, that never goes away, and he found the right inspiration, the form at the right time. He knows that this is his last international tournament, and he's sighting off in front of his home fans, and he's putting everything into this and getting results. And so I think, there was no doubt that, in my mind, that he was not going to be on the field because the Ukraine needed that boost in one form or another, and they just don't have, younger strikers pushing through to even push him out of the lineup yet.
Yeah, no, that's true. I remember reading some Ukrainian media, just because I like to look at all the media, see what everyone's saying, and people were kind of saying that there's no one really that they could have even called up to replace him, and that the national manager was very, I don't know what the word, like, just excited to have him on because there was really no one else to play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. That's also another interesting group. But staying with the matches tonight or today in America, I guess, for you, can you give us some predictions? Italy, Croatia. Right now I have Italy. I have Italy as my sleeper to go to the finals. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just me. What do you think, though? What do you think of this match, Italy, Croatia?
I think these teams are actually pretty evenly balanced. I would be surprised if this ended in like a 1-1 or 2-2 draw.
Okay.
I just think both teams, bring a lot to the table and might actually, almost cancel each other out. I mean, unless one of Italy's, forward-thinking players, Balotelli, someone, really comes alive, I don't see Italy offering too much in the attack, but I see them being able to do enough to put off Croatia a bit more resistance than Ireland applied to them.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it'll be interesting to see if Italy tries, because in the first match, Italy's first match against Spain, it just seemed like Cassano wasn't in the game, and I like Cassano a lot. He made some very controversial statements about how he hopes there's no gay players on his team. I don't really understand why a reporter asked him that, but that's going to now kind of haunt him. And he's a guy that's not very well liked outside of Italy. He does a lot of knucklehead things. Him and Balotelli are like the funniest strikers, I think, in the whole tournament, because you don't know what you're going to expect from them. They're so talented, and if they play the way they should, they could be the 2 best strikers in the tournament. And if they don't, they could be the worst. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there today. When you have to bring in a 34-year-old to substitute, I think it was Balotelli, that's not necessarily the same thing. Yeah, 34-year-old's a legend in Italy and has had, I think, 20 goal seasons for the past 6 seasons, and is very, very well liked in Italy, very well respected. So it's good to see some old people shine in this tournament, or not old people, but old for soccer.
Hey, in soccer terms, that's like 106.
Exactly.
So,
and
we'll give you that with old people.
Right. And the last thing I want to talk to you before we move on to our next guest, we've talked about this with all our guests all our soccer guests. What are your thoughts on Michael Ballack teaming up with Alexi Lawless, I believe? I don't even know his name. That's kind of the point of what I'm about to say. I mean, what's up with having a German star and a Chelsea star team up with a guy who had a few bright moments for USA in the 90s? I mean, do you like it? Do you think it's a good matchup, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, the panel's done a good job. I actually think, sorry to not talk about the 2 people you just brought up, but I think Taylor Twellman's done a really good job. He's made some really insightful comments. Lawless has always been a part of the ESPN panel for about, I'd say, a good, 6-7 years now. So, I mean, we're used to seeing him, and he's, you might not agree with what he says, but he sticks to his guns, which I always respect. And as for Ballack, I think he's coming into his zone. I think what they're going for is having somebody who's been there, somebody who knows the Euros inside out, who's been right in the heat of it, making it to the finals. So that's what he brings to the table. I think, he's still learning it a little bit. Yesterday, one of the favorite things I heard was the person moderating the panel, I think it was Bob Levy, said, as they were showing a replay, said, this is a great cross here, and he was really opening the door for Ballack to give his commentary, and Ballack just goes, yes, it was. So that
right.
To me was pretty funny, but he's getting it. I think he provides that insight that you wouldn't get otherwise unless you had a player who's been there, done that. But he just needs to grow into it. I think by the end of the tournament, he'll be really interesting to watch and to get his insights if he just opens up a little more and allows himself to relax. So I think, it was a pretty good move. I understand what they're going for, and so far ESPN's coverage has been really good.
Oh, that's good to hear. Of course, I've only been, watching what I can off SportsCenter in Israel. We have our own guys calling everything. And I heard it's been really good. I think Bob Lee is doing the in-between between those two guys to make sure nothing gets out of hand. And the interesting part is Alexi predicted the Danes to beat the Dutch. So I don't think anyone would have done that. And if Michael Ballack called him crazy, I watched a clip on YouTube the other day. Michael Ballack was like, "You're crazy. That's not going to happen." And, of course, the Dutch lose 1-0, I think, or 2-1. I don't remember. I think, 1-0. So it's going to be a great tournament. That's for sure. I think at the end of the day, we're probably going to – Germany just seems to be really good right now, especially when Gomez, is your best player. That means that your other guys haven't peaked yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's scary. People should be scared because this German team, I think now it's after we've seen everyone play, I think it's safe to say they're by far the favorites, especially with the Dutch probably not going to advance. And the Spanish team just missing Villa up front really badly and missing Puyol in the defense. The defense looked very bad in the second half. The times were able to penetrate the line. And Puyol is one of the best defenders in the world. Kind of reminds me of the Fabio Cannavaro of 2006. When the Italians won the World Cup. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Unfortunately, Mark, with all our difficulties today, we didn't have more time, but it's been a pleasure. It's always fun, and we'd love to have you on again before the end of the Euro, which is, I believe, July 1st. How's that sound?
Anytime. I'm always available for you guys.
All right,
always a pleasure being on this show.
All right, Mark. We'll talk soon. And I wanted to ask you about Team USA, but we don't have time. I'll ask you about that maybe on G-Chat if I catch you.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, man. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, guys.
All right, Mark Serber from Fox Sports International, a good friend here of the program. We have a special studio guest, but we're not going to reveal who it is until 15 minutes from now. And right now we're going to call Joseph Kotach, who's the editor-in-chief at Pro Basketball Draft. We're going to talk to him for really a short segment, about 13 minutes, and then we're going to call Ari. And a lot of stuff to talk about. We talked with Jason Blesnick yesterday about the draft, and it'll be interesting to see what Joe thinks. And he has a lot of great insight, a lot of interesting draft talk because, of course, as Ari mentioned yesterday, the Hornets getting the number 1 pick, and who knows how fair that was. But we're calling Joe right now. Hopefully we can get through to him. He asked us to delay the segment to 5:50 local time and 11:50 I guess a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The East Coast, I think his offices are out of New York or D.C. So we're going to try him on another number, but we're going to start off and talk to him about the lottery, the guys 2 through 14, and see what he thinks about them and what he expects out of them. I mean, no one really knows what's going to happen after the 3rd pick. There's a lot of mock drafts. Andre Drummond, Bradley Beal, it could go on and on. But a lot of guys who were in the lottery about 2 months ago have dropped. Terrence Jones from Kentucky, Perry Jones from Baylor. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Trying to get a hold of Joe. Dialing him up right now. All right, let's go to a 2-minute commercial and try and figure this out. It's just been one of those shows, but we're thankful for everyone who stayed with us. We had a great segment with Mark. We hope to have a short segment with Joe when we come back, and then Ari Bluestein, and then Kabunin, and then Robert Rothbart from the Israel national basketball team. He plays in Slovenia for a powerhouse EuroLeague team at 7 p.m. local time, 12 Eastern, and then Laurie Brownstone, comedian, talk about the LA Kings winning their first Stanley Cup their first Stanley Cup in their franchise history. So very exciting stuff. Commercial will be back hopefully in a minute and a half, 2 minutes, trying to figure out this mess. And please stay with us on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Okay, back on Louis Live here on Israel Sports Radio. Good show so far. A few technical difficulties, but I think we're fine now for the rest of the show. And very good show today. And a great show next Tuesday. To remind our listeners, Kevin Gilbride, the offensive coordinator of the New York Giants, will be joining us, along with Charles Swerke, the voice of the Chicago Bulls, and Eric Stover, the former New York Red Bulls president and chief operating guy who was in charge of bringing Thierry Henry over from Barcelona at the time, sorry. Very exciting for U.S. soccer and MLS soccer. But we're going to try Joe one more time. If we can't get a hold of him, then we'll have him on again, and then we'll have a little short 5-minute segment, and then we will call Ari. We haven't had him on, it seems like, in a while. But we have a special guest in the studio today, and we'll see if we can get a hold of Joe. It'd be nice to get a hold of him. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, especially with the draft being exactly 2 weeks from today. It's always on a Thursday night in, I believe, Madison Square Garden, like the NFL draft. So let's see. If we can get Joe, just said that he heard us call. All right, Joe's saying that he can hear us call him, but let's try him again on a different number. And if we get a hold of Joe, we'll talk to him for about 8 minutes and then call Ari at 6:10 local time, 11:10 Eastern Standard Time. If we can't get a hold of Joe, we'll go to a commercial and try Ari right after that. And of course, Ari's expecting our call, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. But let's hope we can get a hold of Joe. It's been a challenge today. It's been one of those shows, but it's okay. Let's see. Dialing him up. Hi, Joe, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, great. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to have a short segment, about 10 minutes, so I want to get right to the draft, 2 weeks away from today. Very exciting stuff. And I want to ask you, really, do you see a guy like Bradley Beal really being a top 5 pick? I mean, this guy's been saying that he won't work out for anyone under, the top 4. He believes he's going to go top 4. Had a pretty solid year at Florida. A lot of really good players around him who average a lot of points. A scoring team. Patrick Young down low. But what are your thoughts on Bradley Beal? He seems to be kind of the question mark for me. I know he's a great talent and a great player, but what are you expecting from him?
Well, I think Bradley Beal is the consensus top shooting guard in the draft, and I think he's really helped himself in terms of the measurements at the NBA Combine, coming in at about 6'5", having a strong frame. I think he's around 205 pounds. So, he's not too slender where he'll get bodied around by players, and it should give him the opportunity to get to the rim and be able to finish with contact, which is very important with that sort of position nowadays. So I would tell you that, I do think he is a top 5 pick. I think there's a chance he could slip, but I really would be surprised if he was, past Portland. I think a team like Portland would be more than happy to take him. His ability to shoot and his ability to score are very unique skills that you don't often get. And so I think he's a very good pick, and I think he's a little undervalued from actually playing at Florida with Kenny Boynton and Irving Walker, guys who dominated the ball.
Right, yeah, and great guards there, and of course also Patrick Young down low. A very interesting team who seemed to struggle throughout the SEC and then kind of put it together later down the year. Another guy I want to talk to you about, Marcus Teague. We're happy to announce he's going to be a guest on our show. Of course, because my Indiana connection, I pulled it off for us. A guy who I wanted to stay at Kentucky for another year, especially with Noel coming in and another great recruiting class coming in for Kentucky. Some mock drafts, he's right after the lottery, number 15 through 18 I've seen. really struggled, in my opinion, in the first half of the year and then put it together the second half and had a pretty good run in the tournament. I think in the Indiana game or the game before that, in the third round, he had 24 points or something. So what are your thoughts on Marcus? He's a little guy. He's only 185, but he's strong and he can get to the hoop. So what are you expecting from him, and where do you think he's going to go?
Well, I think he's probably going to fall somewhere between 20 and probably 28 or so. That would seem like the most realistic areas for him. You know, this is a weak point guard draft, and quite frankly, the teams that are drafting before 20 don't have, urgent needs to draft a point guard, especially when there's so many shooting guards and small forwards and power forwards and even centers that are going to be available and probably dominating the first part of the draft. I could see him going to a team like Denver. That's where we actually have him projected to go in our latest mock draft. And, a team like Denver, Andre Miller is a free agent. He's bigger than Ty Lawson. He can do some things Ty Lawson can't do. I think they'd be a really lethal 1-2 combo at point guard. But, ultimately, I think Marcus Teague is a very good point guard prospect, with his ability to shoot, get to the rim, and has that quick first step to get by his opponents. So I think he would be very good. I think ultimately the best fit for him might be a team like Indiana or even a team like Miami. If he were to fall there, I know would be ecstatic. And even though they took Norris Cole last year, would probably pull the trigger.
Right, of course, Marcus Teague being from Pike, which is in Indianapolis, the high school Pike, known for having a lot of great players in their history, including his brother, Jeff Teague, who's now at the Hawks, former Wake Forest guy. I think the Pacers would be excited about that. Another guy I want to talk about who I actually wrote a long article about him a couple weeks ago, Fab Melo, projected as a first-round pick, 7 points, I think 4 rebounds a game, but 3 blocks a game, led the Big East in blocks. A guy who, when he came out of came out of prep school from Brazil, a lot of hype. Didn't do much his first year at Syracuse, but had a pretty good year defensively his sophomore year for Cuse. Do you still see him falling in the first round? Is he worth you a first-round pick?
Well, based on his size alone, he's a very intriguing player, and you probably think warrants serious consideration. I think the absolute earliest you could see Fab Melo go is potentially 19 to Orlando, but I think more realistically there's some teams in the 20s that are going to have multiple draft picks that probably would be, more than willing to roll the dice on a player like Fab Melo. And specifically I'm talking about a team like Boston who picks 21 and 22. Golden State has 2 picks and they pick 30th, and it just so happened that his representation, is the same agency that the Golden State general manager used to work for. So, there's certainly some dots that are connected there. So, I think those are 2 really intriguing fits. I think a team like Cleveland, who a lot of people want to just assume would look at him, might not be the ideal fit for a player like Melo because he does come with some baggage. He's got some red flags with, his suspensions and being declared ineligible while he was at Syracuse. But ultimately, though, yes, the shot blocking, rebounding, and defense are all NBA-ready skills that he has. And the only thing he can test or work significantly on is his offensive game. He's still raw, but he has been working on it. And, if you can get him, I don't think he's ever going to be a 20-point scorer, but if you can get him averaging close to 10 points a game for you and playing around 30 minutes, I think you've got a double-double machine who could be among the league leaders in blocks.
Right. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens with him because I know a lot of college basketball fans wanted him to stay another year, especially Syracuse fans, since Syracuse lost a lot of guys, Deion Waiters, who I wish we had more time to talk, but we have 3 minutes left. So I want to now talk second round. A lot of interesting guys, a lot of guys from Syracuse, or not a lot of guys, but Chris Joseph, my favorite guy in the second round who I think can be an impact. Kim English from Missouri, I also like. Drew Gordon from New Mexico. But those are the 3 guys I like to make some noise in the second round and maybe be guys that can be future players in that NBA, not be bench guys. I want to get some sleepers from, let's say, 40 and on, 40 to the end of the draft. Do you see any guys that could be all-stars or guys that could score 15, 20 points a game down the road?
Well, I think that might be a little bit of a stretch. I think that teams are all very good with scouting nowadays, not only the college players, but overseas as well. So you're not going to usually find Manu Ginobili. It's a very difficult thing to do. So I don't know that you can find that, but I think there will be some very valuable players, maybe even an occasional starter or two that you'll find in the latter part of the draft. Some names that I would throw out to you: a guy who's not getting much publicity, but has an NBA game, has NBA size for a two guard, and averaged 18.5 points a game is Darian Pelham from Hampton University. And for most people, they don't know even about Hampton University, but
right.
He was slated to go to Virginia Tech. He was at the Nike basketball camps last summer. He's a very intriguing prospect, and somebody that I think will be in the NBA and probably gets drafted somewhere around 50, maybe a little after that. But absolutely, that's a sleeper in my estimation. A couple other guys who have serious sleeper potential. I think you look at a guy like Darius Johnson-Odom, who's slipping probably into the late 40s. I think he's got a real intriguing game. I think he could be a wonderful scorer off your bench, and depending on your team needs, I think he can play some point guard. He's got just an uncanny ability to score, and I think he's going to be a nice fit as well. And then, one other guy that I think has a lot of sleeper potential, and it's probably in that 50 area, is a guy by the name of Marcus Denman from Missouri. And I think I'm sorry.
No.
Denman is he's a little undersized for a two, but if you look at his production and during his college career, was a tremendous scorer. He's a pure scorer, can do it in a variety of ways. Has great character. I like him an awful lot, and I think again, depending on what you're looking for out of him, you'll have a guy who's going to be a really nice pickup as well. And at the end of the day, most teams, when they're picking in the second round, if they're not taking a European that they can stash overseas for a couple of years and see if they develop, you're actually more or less trying to take role players. You're trying to find a guy who can come in and give you 10 to 15 minutes a night, and maybe play lockdown defense, or a guy who can be a shooting specialist for you,
right? No.
Or a guy, I mean, it's just that sort of thing. One other name I don't think we touched on it, but a guy by the name of Kevin Murphy is another intriguing player.
Right.
Tennessee Tech. He can score. I don't think he's going to be a 20-point scorer, but I think he can score 14 or 15 a night at some point in his career. I actually think he's probably in the 30s at this point, but he could slip into the early 40s as well.
Good stuff there, and I wish we could have you on for longer, but unfortunately we have to go. We appreciate the time, and everyone to check you out at Pro Basketball Draft. It's good stuff. I've been reading a lot of it and checking it out, and we appreciate your time and enjoy the draft in 2 weeks.
Yes, thank you guys. Really appreciate it, and anytime you need us on, we're more than happy to do it. And for everybody, we do these mock drafts. We update it twice a week, every Friday, and then usually Monday or Tuesday. So keep your eyes tuned. And obviously, we tweet the news as it happens. So follow us on Twitter at ProBallDraft.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe, and have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to go to commercial right now because we just got a note from Ari that he now needs to be pushed back a little bit. So we're going to go to a commercial and try and figure this out. So stay with us.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Tapio, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed Frequent Flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Harry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Are you tired of paying for expensive gym memberships that you don't use? Are you frustrated by not seeing results? It's time for the X1. Israel Gym Systems is proud to launch the X1 suspension and bodyweight training system. Lose weight, build muscle, improve balance, coordination, and flexibility. With your purchase of the X1, you'll receive a free membership to IsraelGym.com and access to our archives of videos and exercise plans. Sign up today at www.IsraelGym.com and get ready for the new you. Israel Gym X1. Higia Hazman.
DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJ Venom. DJing parties throughout Israel. Birthday parties, weddings.
I'm back here on Louis Live. Crazy show here, but that's okay. We're going to push back Ari, and we're going to call our friend Cub Unit from ESPN Denver to talk Euro and NBA finals. And, yeah, it's been one of those shows, but, we're going to have everyone on. That's what matters. Maybe not as planned, but we're going to have everyone on. And always fun to call Cub, who works for ESPN Denver radio station. He also works for Slam magazine, so he's also covers the NBA playoffs, the finals right now, and also soccer. And we're going to start with Euro because we're both Arsenal fans, and we're very excited to have him on. And hopefully we're not calling him too early because he was supposed to come on in 12 minutes, but hopefully it'll be okay. And if not, then we'll figure something out.
Hello?
Hi, Cub. I hope it's okay. We're calling you now. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How's it going?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us. Again, sorry about calling you earlier, but we've had some technical difficulties. We had to move people around, and we're hoping that you're available right now.
No worries, man. Let's do it.
All right, so I want to start off with the Euro, and then Ari's going to talk to you about the NBA, which I'm not even paying attention, to be honest, to the NBA Finals since the Euro is so exciting to me. I'll pay attention to it once it gets closer, game 3 and 4, or maybe I guess tonight I'll watch. But tonight, big game in my opinion. Italy's been my team, my underdog team. Germany didn't win. Everyone's been calling me crazy, but I like this Italian team. They need to beat Croatia tonight, though. Very, very strong Croatia team led by Modric from Tottenham. Very, very interesting thing here because Cassano and Balotelli have just not been playing that well, and we could have predicted that. But if they do play well, this team is unstoppable up front because Balotelli is so talented. He's 21 years old. People forget that he looks a lot older, but he's a 21-year-old guy. Just won, the Premier League with City. The sky's the limit for him. So what are you expecting from him? I guess tonight's match for me, but I guess it's going to be on in the morning for you.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's interesting, especially with this Italian team. There's such a dichotomy with this team between kind of the old guard, kind of the old standard Azzurri, defense first mentality, and you're inserting some of these younger guys like Balotelli that bring a precocious offensive nature, I guess you could say. And I think everyone's kind of waiting for that game when Balotelli does blow up, either offensively or emotionally. And saw a bit of that in their first game. Obviously, their first game with Spain, where they came out tactically a little bit different, and much has been made, especially over here, much has been made about that formation change that they put forth against Spain to earn that draw against Spain. But yeah, I mean, so many of these groups are so interesting. The way they've played out, obviously Group B, Group of Death, that's even more interesting than we even thought it might be. But big game today for Italy, and again, I think a lot of people are expecting some fireworks on that end. Whether they stay with Balotelli up top and roll with him throughout the game, or whether they choose some other options, I guess.
Right, and I hope they stay with Balotelli. If not, they have a great 34-year-old they can always bring in, who's really been a star in Serie A for the last, I think, 6 years. I forget the club that he plays on. I think it's I'll look it up, but he's been. Yeah, that's it. I think he scored 20 goals there for the last 6 seasons. Every year he's scored 20 goals. That's a very, very impressive feature, especially for a guy who's 34. And speaking of a guy who's 34, how about a guy who's 35? One of the best footballers in the world, or used to be. I'm talking now about Andriy Shevchenko. 2 goals in his home country of Ukraine against Sweden. That was just awesome to watch the battle of kind of two. Eastern European, or not Eastern European. Sweden's not Eastern European, but European. I'm trying to think of it, like not Spain, Italy, France. Sweden and Ukraine, not very well-known countries, but superstars in Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Shevchenko. How did you enjoy that match, Cub? And what are your thoughts on Shevchenko coming through in the clutch, 2 goals, and leading his team to victory?
Yeah, it was a huge game because Sweden was kind of my dark horse in this tournament. Right. I actually had them going through out of that group and actually making a run to the semifinals. So my predictions are a little bit on ice after that game. But Shevchenko, I mean, what else do you expect from a guy like that? He's had a knack for the back of the net his whole career. Again, for his country coming into this tournament, I really thought that he had to be superhuman again to kind of to get out of Group D, and then the way they came through. Way he personally came through in that first game against Sweden. Again, that group's pretty interesting. They're all, I'm going to keep saying they're all really interesting, but, the dynamic between England and France, we saw the way that game played out, and then to have, the Ukraine, the home nation, show up the way they did and have their, the kind of their elder statesman superstar, Shevchenko, Ibrahimovic, again, both of them spent time in Milan, as professionals. So again, an interesting dynamic they looked at on the score sheet. I think tomorrow's games are going to be probably as interesting as the ones for today. So, again, I think a lot's going to be expected out of Sweden. I expect a big game from Sweden tomorrow. But, yeah, Ukraine, Poland, these host nations are actually asserting themselves pretty well in a tournament that's just loaded with awesome teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I remember you being high on the Sweden team, and I was too, to be honest. And it's not over. There's still 2 matches left. I believe Sweden's playing tomorrow. I believe Sweden's playing tomorrow. And we'll see what happens there. But the next game tonight, which is an interesting game because, of course, we've had Tommy Smith on the program, and he always talks about his Irish team. So I like deep down in my heart to think that the Irish have a chance tonight, but obviously they don't. Sorry, Tommy. But let's say they get a tie. I mean, that could potentially, depending on if Croatia wins this match tonight against Italy, which I hope they don't, but let's say, this is all hypothetically, Croatia beats Italy, and then Spain ties the Irish. I mean, how crazy would it be, Cub, if the Dutch and the Spanish don't move on to the knockouts? I mean, how crazy would that be? I mean, I think Germany, you'd have to bet $1 million on Germany to win the tournament at that point, no?
Yeah. At that point, they would become the clear-cut favorites. I mean, those are my 2 finalists, Holland and Spain.
Right.
Again, I think, the way the group phases play out, though, I mean, we've seen it in Group A and Group B. I mean, those two groups already still have a lot to be decided. No one's through yet. No one's out yet. I mean, there's kind of this awesome, anticipations for that. Again, I mean, with Spain in this situation, you just can't get too overreactive after the first game or even the second game because Holland could win next week. On Sunday, they could make it through, and then who knows what can happen from there. We saw Spain in the World Cup. Again, they lost their opening match in the World Cup to a team that didn't even qualify in Switzerland for the European Championship. So, again, a lot can still play out. Again, I think Spain's been taking a lot of criticism, which is natural when you're the defending world champ, when you're the defending European champion. Again, there's a lot that's kind of heaped on you as far as pressure. But again, as we've seen in this tournament, it's so equally distributed. I mean, over the last 25, 30 years, it seems like we have a new champion every 4 years.
Right.
So, Spain is able to, if the Irish are able to pull out a tie, that'd be a monumental point in their favor, obviously, just for their nation in general. But, again, I think Spain will get their act together. I think we'll see them kind of come out of that group still, on top.
As I say, the luck of the Irish. And we had Mark Serber on from Fox Sports Soccer earlier, and I was telling him that really look at the roster of this Irish team, and it's pretty much guys from the lower league in the Premier League, guys from Sunderland, Aston Villa, I think some guys from Swansea. So, I don't know, it's kind of weird to think about a team comprised of guys from those clubs beating a team with guys from Man City and Barcelona and Real Madrid and et cetera, Casillas being one of the best goalkeepers in our generation, et cetera, et cetera. So, but you got to root for those teams. I mean, I'm not a big I like watching them, but I'm not a Spanish fan, so I will be rooting for the Irish tonight to make some noise. And it'd be just interesting, let's say, if it was tied at halftime. And I don't know. I felt like last night watching that, overhyped Germany-Netherlands game 2-0 at halftime, I was just like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what we expected. Luckily, the Dutch came in the second half and played really well for Spurs, not really for the whole second half. And I want to talk about that match last night because something just looks off with the players on the Dutch. I know the defense was a concern, but the offense also is a concern. It seems like the guys are not playing as a team. Van Persie and Robin and Snyder just kind of looking mad at each other on the field. So what do you think is going on there, and can they advance? Is it possible they can get some heroics from, I think they'd have to beat Portugal and then have Denmark. I don't remember what it is, but do you think that your team can still make it to the finals? Is it possible?
Yeah, I think it is. They've been dangerous offensively. I mean, that's kind of the MO of the Dutch, is that tons of flair, lots of build-up, lots of great scoring chances. The issue right now is finishing. And again, there is this underlying team dynamic between Van Persie, Schneider. Again, those guys aren't best of friends off the pitch. So, there's some tumultuous stuff going on there. Their defense has been miserable in these first two games. I mean, the marking's been awful. They've really, really performed defensively poorly. But, again, with the nature of this group, with them getting that last goal actually yesterday in that game against Germany, they still have a chance. I mean, again, they beat Portugal, which is more than possible. If they beat them by more than 2 goals, and then if Germany beats Denmark, which we all kind of expect, Holland's through. And then once you get in the quarterfinals, anything can happen. And again, this is a team that's too dangerous, they have too much firepower to not think it's possible. But again, they're just in that funk offensively where they just aren't able to finish. And Van Persie's kind of had that MO for a long time about being, great for club, but not always great for country in the big tournaments. So, again, he needs to step up and finish more of those. And he finished one yesterday, which again, actually was a big goal, because when you start talking about goal differential and, how the games will ultimately be decided after Sunday's 2 games when they play them simultaneously, so there's no, tanking or anything of that nature. But, again, I've been very disappointed with the Dutch. They were my team coming in, but not out of it yet.
Right, and an interesting thing you just said 2 seconds ago is that, look, all the star players in this tournament have struggled. If you really think about Ribéry from France, Cristiano Ronaldo played a good role in the game yesterday, I suppose, but still didn't really have one of his best matches. You could just go on and on. We'll see what Rooney does when he comes off the suspension. Balotelli, really talent-wise, is probably the most talented player on the Italian team, which is kind of a scary thing to think about because he's so young and so crazy. But we'll see what happens. We have about 2 minutes left with me before we move on to finals with Ari Louis. So I want to talk about the English team because I think they deserve a lot of credit for getting a tie against a really good French team. So much. I mean, I remember Cub talking to you on our last segment about how the English are screwed. I think when we talked, the news came out that Cahill had the broken jaw, which, I mean, who gets broken jaws from soccer? But they got a tie, and they put themselves in, chance to play the Ukrainians and the Swedes, who I think they can beat. Or maybe not beat, but who knows? They can beat them, but we'll see. I think they can put themselves. I think they can advance, and I think that's should be very exciting for English fans if they can just get to the knockout stages, even if they lose the first match there. But how well did you think the British played the first match against France a few days ago?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting time for British football right now. I think it's they're kind of in that period where they're they're transitioning from the old guard, the Terrys and Lampards, and again, all the guys, Steven Gerrard, the guys that have been there forever, and some of these newer guys that are coming up, and some of the younger guys. And I thought they treated themselves pretty well against France. Again, that was kind of an interesting. I mean, France is kind of in a similar state as well. France is trying to shake off some of these these demons of past competitions where they just have not been solid and they haven't been able to advance. So I think England, again, I think we have some of these dynamics that are building up, and in this group, I think we're going to see in every group, we're going to see this exciting match day three in all these groups where so much is still yet to be decided. And I think England's in a position now, by getting that point against France, which I think, like you mentioned, Rafi, was a huge point to get. Because then that puts them in a position where, again, these next two matches aren't paramount where they have to win them both. Just, again, getting points and advancing to the quarterfinals. So England, again, I think they have a lot still to prove as a nation, as a team, because they're still kind of in flux. See if some of these young guys are going to step up and assert themselves. And you mentioned, Wayne Rooney again. Never know what you're going to get with him, but he's always in a position to score. And again, I mean, scoring goals is still a big premium. We saw Mario Gomez yesterday put his second and third goals through.
Right,
and Germany's looking great. And the one guy that I think really has played well, probably the best player for me so far, is Bastian Schweinsteiger for Germany. I think he's been great in the midfield, and it's just kind of. I mean, the space he found yesterday against Holland was just ridiculous.
Right, and real quick, I guess 60 seconds or less. Can you summarize the USA national team's qualifiers? Because I've just been watching it here from Israel, and it's embarrassing to tie Guatemala, to tie Canada. I mean, I'm part Canadian, so my family in Canada actually watched that match. They don't even. I'm surprised they weren't watching hockey, or they probably were, but who knows? I mean, USA is playing really bad right now. So, what are your thoughts on that, real quick?
Well, I'm not too down on them right now. The Canadian game wasn't a qualifier, so it wasn't a big deal. They got the win against Antigua, which, again, it's always important you're getting the points. The tie at Guatemala, the tough part about it was giving up the late goal, but U.S. has never played well in Central America, whether it's Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica. Those are awfully tough places to play, especially in qualifiers. So, big picture-wise, U.S. is going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine as far as qualifying through to the next round. Again, they're kind of in that position where they're finally getting Clint Dempsey back. He scored a goal against Guatemala. Again, getting their full complement of players back together, I think they'll be fine. I'm not going to overreact too much to the tie because it was at Guatemala. Now, if that tie had happened here in the States, I think there'd be a lot more hair pulling and hand-wringing about where this team is going. But, again, I think, as long as we have Tim Howard back there, as long as they have, Clint Dempsey manning the midfield with Landon Donovan, I think it's going to be okay. But again, there's just not a lot of promise with young stars or anything of that nature that's going to give us football fans here stateside a big reason to think that they have a really bright future, unfortunately.
Right. I mean, great manager. Klinsmann, I think, will pull it together. And you're right. The Canada thing was an exhibition. I think they played another team and won 3-1. I forget who it wasn't. I think it was a small island or something. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was Antigua. Yeah, that was their first qualifier. And that was a home game. They gave up a goal, but they got the 3 points. Going to Guatemala, like I mentioned, those are tough conditions to play for, especially for the U.S., where they go down to those nations, and those nations look at the United States obviously as the giants, the monsters of the world. So the energy, the passion in the stadium is ramped up 200%.
Right, and Cub, unfortunately, I wish we could talk for longer about soccer, but we do have listeners that care about the NBA Finals, and that is going on. So I'm going to turn it over now to my man, Ari Louis. Cub, until we meet again, it's always a pleasure, and we'll be in touch. And here's Ari Louis.
Thanks, Robbie.
Hey, Cub, it's Ari. How you doing out there?
I'm great, Ari. How are you today?
Doing wonderful, but before we get to the NBA Finals, let's talk about the SmackDown that David Stern led on or put on Jim Rome, Van Smack Master. Jim Rome, of course, asked about the rumors and conspiracy theories of the NBA lottery being fixed because the NBA owned Hornets got the number 1 pick. Stern first said no, and you should be ashamed of yourself for asking. Rome was insistent, asked again, and Stern said, do you beat your wife? Which was like one of those, not jokes, I should say, but it's one of those questions that doesn't have a positive answer for one who has to respond to it. You're kind of trapped in. So what did you think of David Stern's comeback? You know, we're used to seeing Stern being pretty calm, and he kind of laid it down on Jim Rome.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's one of those situations where the smacker got a little bit smacked down, obviously, as Rome has a bit of a history of that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the question. The whole NBA conspiracy thing, whether it's the lottery, whether it's the refs, whether it's fixing games. Again, there's history with that, and there's always been that kind of underlying concern whether there's some strings being pulled. Not even on the whole lottery and that being rigged. I think people need to stop with that because you could have made a case for pretty much every team that was up there. They could have made a case for the Brooklyn Nets, with the league trying to get back into New York City and giving them the number 1 pick. Could have made the case for Charlotte with Michael Jordan. I mean, I felt like there was a conspiracy case that could have been made for all of those teams. But David Stern, he's a master of PR. He's a master kind of spinning things a certain way. And there's times, it's not the first time, that he's lashed out at some of us in the media that have been a little critical of those situations. Again, Romy is no stranger to some of that controversy. I think it was a little bit inappropriate as far as his line or his comeback. I don't think it's ever personalized, something you should be presenting or airing your grievances from a professional standpoint. But again, David Stern, this is his league. It's his golden goose. I think he's going to kind of treat it the same way. And the whole conspiracy word is something that the league does not want to hear anything about.
Yeah, David Stern has talked about this on and again, not just with the draft, but the whole referees, all this kind of stuff. And he said, if I actually fixed it, I would be defrauding a multi-billion-dollar business. So he's certainly sensitive to it. He doesn't like those type of allegations. Now, let's go to the finals itself. We'll start with Dwayne Wade. You can make whatever you want to say about LeBron's only 7 points in the fourth quarter, but D-Wade's got to step up, only scored 19 points. And he addressed that issue, in the finals of 2006. He was 24 years old, has a little more wear on the tires now at 30. Wade is not really been the weight of old in these playoffs. How can he find the magic and step it up for Game 2?
Yeah, again, I think he is the key at this point. It's somewhat fashionable, especially here in America, to kind of bash on LeBron. It's kind of trendy to bag on LeBron, even if you don't watch the game or if you don't look at the box scores and see. Well, he had 30 points. He did a pretty good fourth quarter. Just so happened he was matched up against Kevin Durant, who had an amazing fourth quarter. So, again, D-Wade, though, he's just been inconsistent this playoffs. There's been, flashes of brilliance. We've seen the D-Wade of old, but then we've seen this kind of older, as you mentioned, a little bit more wear on the tire with D-Wade. He's a bit older than a lot of these other guys, and this is a very young series, obviously, with both these teams. So, again, I think D-Wade needs to stop settling for jumpers. I think the team as a whole needs to be more aggressive towards the hole because in that second half, they went from playing a really strong first half to settling for jumpers and not attacking the glass, not getting to the free throw line. And that's generally just the case of, where your offensive aggressive or where your offensive focus is. And as a team, I just think Miami settled too much and weren't as aggressive as they have been. So I look for D-Wade to be overly aggressive. He said it yesterday in his press conference about being aggressive, and I just think we're going to see I think we're going to see an individual that's going to be a little bit more ramped up as far as saying, okay, this is my team still as well, and I want to take this team on my shoulders a little bit and kind of help LeBron shoulder the load a little bit. So, yeah, I expect a huge game tonight from D-Wade. Whether it's going to be enough, we'll just have to see.
All right, and let's address Miami's bench issues because, I picked Miami in 6, but one of the things that I'm a little scared about is Thunder are so much deeper. I mean, they're playing 8 or 9 guys. Miami really plays 6. I mean, Mike Miller's not really doing that much. He's at the end of his career, probably retired at the end of the season. Joel Anthony, we know we're not really getting anything from him. Chris Bosh, the 6th guy in Game 1, do you expect him to start tonight or be the only really real bench guy for the Miami Heat?
Yeah, I think he needs to start. I mean, I've kind of been arguing for him starting since his return because I feel like with his injury, and he goes out there, he warms up, he kind of gets ready to go, and then he goes and sits on the bench.
Right, colds up.
To me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense from like just a physical standpoint. I want to get him warm. I want to get him out there. I want to get him playing. And again, I mean, we saw like such a difference he made in Game 6 and 7 against Boston. His ability to kind of draw Kevin Garnett out of the paint, it opened up some lanes for LeBron and D-Wade to drive. So I think Chris Bosh needs to get max minutes tonight. And just going forward, I think they need to sell out on him as far as the amount of minutes they can play because, like you said, this team is so thin. They're so thin, like on the interior, and we saw it. It was kind of one of the matchups I thought that really leaned towards Oklahoma City was just the front courts because, again, Ibaka, Perkins. I mean, Nick Hoffman played a great Game 1. When those guys are involved, when those guys are able to find space and wreak a little havoc on their own, getting offensive rebounds, getting tip-outs, it makes Thunder almost unbeatable, especially when they ratchet up the defense like they did in the second half. So, Chris Bosh, D-Wade, they need all three to be pretty much on every night. It's be a quick series.
All right, and let's go over to the Thunder. Before we get to the actual roster, I mean, Seattle is not happy about this. Their side, Seattle drafted Durant, and just kind of how the whole team was taken. Seattle kind of has legitimate gripe, but what can they do about it? They kind of just have to sit there. I mean, you feel for the Seattle fans, obviously, I'm sure. Even though you're not from Seattle.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, people love Oklahoma City, but there's a lot of amnesia about the entire Sonics thing and how they left the city, and a lot of young NBA fans don't even have a clear picture on how that all went down. But if I was a Seattle fan, I think I'd just rather people stop talking about it. Quit bringing up the fact that Oklahoma City did move kind of under suspicious, situation, leaving the city with Clay Bennett taking over the team, how the league was kind of involved in the move. Especially out of such a great NBA market. Seattle has some of the best fans. Of course, there's always dollar signs involved. There were, arena deals and things of that nature. Howard Schultz, the Starbucks guy, was, again, there were so many different players. But, again, if I'm a Sonics fan, I'm just saying, please quit mentioning it because it just digs the knife in a little deeper every time. It's like, oh, no, these guys used to be in Seattle, and wow, they must be kicking themselves right now for not having such a great young team. But, yeah, it really is a tragic story that kind of underlying such an awesome story of this young Thunder team.
Yeah, one of the things I think Seattle fans could take some solace in is part of the reason why OKC got the team was they were so hospitable after Katrina. They hosted the New Orleans Hornets, or the New Orleans Hornets of Oklahoma City. That showed the league, hey, a team could work, and OKC look at these crowds coming to the games. All right, let's go to the players, of course, for the Thunder. Now, for whatever reason, Russell Westbrook used that incident with Shane Battier to really pump him up. Is he going to be able to carry that energy in Game 2, or does he need to get in a fight with somebody else to get him to play like that? He was great in Game 1.
Yeah, that was kind of the model for the perfect, Russell Westbrook. He didn't shoot great from the field, but again, he's attacking, he's offensive, he's focused on defense, he's efficient with the ball, he didn't turn the ball over. And at the right time, he knows when to find Kevin Durant, which he did in the fourth quarter. Because if you look back at this entire month of play that the Thunder have done, and again, I was impressed with the Thunder a month ago. I'm even more impressed now because of the way that they, were able to take down Dallas, LA, the Spurs, coming back in fourth quarter of games. They seemingly are down every halftime. Russell Westbrook will have a big third quarter to kind of get him close, and Kevin Durant takes him home. And again, just seeing the way they played in Game 1, and Russell Westbrook specifically, again, I don't think he needs any kind of motivation. That's one of the beauties of him as a player is that he brings that intensity, that fire every night. Sometimes it manifests itself, in negative ways. Sometimes he gets a little too excited, he turns the ball over, he takes too many shots. But, kind of that underlying thing, though, about Russell Westbrook, people say he needs to look for Durant more. He shouldn't be shooting more than Durant. When he shoots more than Durant this year, they're 25-5. I mean, those are pretty good numbers. So I don't think people need to worry too much about that. I think the way things are going for them, they want to keep it as is, let him continue to push the pace, continue to look for for offensive holes in the Miami defense, but having the best score in the world surely doesn't help, or surely doesn't hurt.
Wow, that's an incredible stat. Okay, I did not know that. Thank you for that. And I tell you, Cub, we wish you had more time. Got to leave you with this last question. Game 2, very pivotal. Miami wins. They have the home court advantage. They lose down 0-2, going back to Miami. What do you think happens tonight in OKC?
You mentioned that Oklahoma City crowd. It's the only college atmosphere, maybe other than San Antonio, but I don't give San Antonio, their building's kind of too big and cavernous.
Right.
I just love the home crowd there. I just think that Oklahoma City has such a home court advantage. Are so tough to beat at home, and again, they've proven in this playoffs the last month that they can go on the road. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miami really gave a good fight and possibly stole this game. But I still like Oklahoma City in every game in that building. I just think that they have such an advantage there in a league that's so watered down with their fan bases. Again, I think Oklahoma City is a pick tonight. I like Oklahoma City in 6 in this series. But again, you never know. LeBron, D-Wade, they have Herculean ability, and wouldn't be surprised if they put that team on their trip tonight.
All right, so we got that recorded on our record, Cub. We certainly thank you for your time, and enjoy the game tonight, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy the game.
All right, be well, Cub. All right, that was Cub Unit from ESPN's Denver. We're going to stay here and not take a commercial break and dial up our Philadelphia Insider. Really, Cub did a really nice job breaking down the NBA Finals, and I'll give you my prediction at the end of the program of who I think is going to win tonight. You probably can figure out based on my overall prediction. But with Russell Westbrook shooting more than Kevin Durant, 25-5, that's a great stat, even though Durant is the 3-time leading scorer, and Seattle just kind of have to deal with the fact they don't have their team anymore and needs to move on, I would say. But I certainly understand the bitterness. Seattle has only made it to the NBA Finals in the last 20 years once in 1996 against the Bulls when they lost 6 games. Had a great team that year with Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, Trump, Sam Perkins, on and on. Hi, Ari, are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're doing great, and we appreciate having now our Philadelphia Insider, Ari Bluestein, on the program. And Ari, on a personal note, I understand that your dad is in Israel listening to us.
That's right. Yeah, he's been in the Holy Land for a few weeks now, and he's there till the end of this month.
All right, any message you want to say to your dad?
I'll say Shalom, Boker Tov from... Oh, I forget the word for the United States of America.
Artsot Abrit.
Artsot Abrit, is that right?
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's interesting because we may have a response to that.
Hey, Ari, how you doing?
Uh-oh, what a surprise guest. How you doing, Dad?
I'm good. Glad to hear your voice.
Is Ari Louis and Rocky treating you well over there?
Oh, they're great. I got to listen to the earlier show because you got delayed a little bit, and it's a good show.
Only the best for your dad, Ari. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, so we got that prank out of the way. Let's go. And by the way, feel free to jump in anytime you like, Mr. Bluestein. But let's start before we get to the NBA Finals. Perfect game by Matt Cain. I brought this up at the end of the program. It seems since the players have stopped taking steroids, we've seen a lot more no-hitters, perfect games. A perfect game on average used to be once every 5 years. We've had 2 in the past 5 or 6 weeks. Is there any other reason other than the fact the players have hopefully at least stopped taking steroids why we're seeing all this pitching improvement?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, and I think it's also, a product of more teams being in Major League Baseball. The talent is dispersed throughout the league with all these expansion teams, and I think now, along with the steroids, that's kind of catching up with Major League Baseball. An interesting statistic, you mentioned there were 2 perfect games this year. Philip Bummer was the first, and then back in 2010, Dallas Braden, the A's, and Roy Halladay pitched 2 perfect games in 1 year. So that's twice in the last 3 years, and we've had 2 perfect games in 1 season. And here's a little fun fact. The last time that happened? The year 1880. And I don't remember the guy that did it, but that was a long, long time ago. So, you can see the no steroids certainly having an effect on the game.
And, one of the things that we're seeing this great article that it felt like it was only a matter of time before Matt Cain was going to throw this perfect game. I mean, did you have a feeling that, we've seen perfect games where there's almost a chance where the perfect game is broken, get to a 3-ball count, or play looks like it's going to be a hit. Did it look like probably when we got to the 7th inning that Matt Cain was going to finish this off?
Yeah, I think it seemed like he was going to finish this off. I mean, he pitched a great game. He had 14 strikeouts. Tied for the best ever, I believe, in a perfect game with Sandy Koufax. And there was only one questionable play during the perfect game, and it was a great catch by one of the Giants outfielders. But Matt Cain is one of the more underrated pitchers in Major League Baseball, and I think that he was bound to have one of these type of games. I saw him up close and personal when he played the Phillies back in the 2010 NLCS, and I knew he was a great pitcher. He has great control. He has great movement on his fastball, and he has great off-speed pitches as well. So kudos to Matt Cain. I think we'll see great pitching performances from him in the future. He won't be one of those flash-in-the-pan perfect game guys like Dallas Braden and Philip Bumber was the last few years.
Right, absolutely. Excuse me, before we get to the NBA Finals, we haven't spoken with you since the Kings won the Stanley Cup in 6 games over the New Jersey Devils. Jonathan Quick, the Conn Smythe winner. People are saying this could be a repeat, even though they were the 8th seed this year. It's a very young team. What do you think about the chances of the Kings repeating as Stanley Cup champions next season?
Well, they have a very good team. I think Jonathan Quick, if he plays at that level next year and during the Stanley Cup playoffs next season, I think they certainly have a chance. And you take a look at a lot of the Stanley Cup winners recently, you ride a hot goalie. Tim Thomas with the Boston Bruins was a hot goalie, and he kind of cooled off this year. Jonathan Quick was the goalie this year. Now, can he sustain that? I'm not sure. If you look at the rest of the Kings, they have some other very good young players. Dustin Brown is a very good player. Ante Kopitar, a very good player as well. And, of course, what everybody around here in Philadelphia is calling Flyers West with Jeff Carter, Mike Richards, Simone Gagne, and Justin Williams. Those 4 guys were big contributors to the Kings this year. So I think they'll be competitive next year. Will they make the Stanley Cup run they did this year? I'm not really too sure. There's too much parity in the NHL to have a lot of repeat type of winners as opposed to MLB and the NBA.
Okay, and, that's true. It does seem to be the trend, and we don't see too many repeat winners, and the lock-em obviously might have something to do with that as well. Okay, let's go now to the NBA Finals. Game 2 is tonight. OKC up 1-0 in the series. And I mentioned this with Cub Union of ESPN Denver that Dwayne Wade's going to have to figure out a way to step this up, even though you could say 30 years old or not. Michael Jordan, all these great players played very well in their mid-30s. What's Wade got to do? What is wrong with him right now? He only scored 19 points in Game 1. I think they'll need him to get in the 20s, the Miami Heat, that is, to win Game 2. So what's Wade got to do? Does he have to be more aggressive and take it to the basket a little bit better?
Well, there is a rumor out there that Dwayne Wade is a little bit banged up.
Okay.
I don't know what the truth is to that. Wade hasn't come out and said anything, but there are a lot of rumors going around that he is hurt, not exactly sure what's wrong. So I think he looks a little bit slower in terms of his first step. That's number one. But in terms of what he has to do, I think he does have to get a little more aggressive. He's not shooting the ball particularly well, and his strength, along with LeBron's strength, has never been in the outside shooting. I think both LeBron and D-Wade have to get to the basket more in order to score more points, because the bottom line is this Thunder team is going to score points. They just have so many weapons and can score in so many different ways that the Heat have to absolutely thrive on the transition game and drive to the bucket. And that's really the way they've been successful. So I think LeBron, he's got to score around 30. D-Wade, as you mentioned, he's got to score 20 to 30 points. And Chris Bosh has to come to play as well, because Shane Battier and Chalmers had good games in Game 1, but not great games. But I don't think you can expect that from them every game. So I think absolutely D-Wade, he has to be more aggressive.
Yeah, Kevin Durant, of course, got his 30-plus points, 37, I believe. But really the killer was Russell Westbrook scoring 27. Do you think that he got to change it defensively to keep him in check? Because Durant's going to get his, but when Russell's doing that, that's certainly a killer for the Heat. So what do you think the Heat should do defensively to stop or contain Russell Westbrook?
I think they need to try and force him to turn the ball over. When Russell Westbrook is dishing out 11 assists and only turning the ball over twice, which I believe were his statistics in Game 1, the Heat are in trouble. Because where the Thunder get in trouble is if Westbrook handles the ball too much and he's a little bit wild, he gets out of hand, he can turn the ball over a little bit. So I think they need to double-team Westbrook, put him in situations where he's going to turn the ball over, and if they can get him to turn the ball over 6, 7, 8 times in this game and have under 10 assists, I think they have a chance to slow him down. Now, he's still going to score points because that's just what he does. Same thing with Durant. But the key for him, again, the Heat should focus on trying to create turnovers when Westbrook has the ball in his hands.
Okay, now, one of the things we noticed, too, in the fourth quarter, it was pretty much even through 3 quarters, only 1-point deficit, then the Thunder really took over. Could that be the Heat? I mean, they're not an old team, but they gassed out, or they were just nervous in the fourth quarter? Because we thought the younger Thunder team, who don't have a lot of finals experience outside of Derek Fisher and Kendrick Perkins, we thought maybe they're the ones who'd be nervous under the big lights. So what is your reason for the fourth quarter deficiency for the Miami Heat?
I mean, it's hard to say because LeBron, in particular, has really had trouble in the fourth quarter his whole career.
Right.
I think you take a look at what Durant can do in the fourth quarter in terms of shooting the ball. That gives him an edge over LeBron and D-Wade because Durant is a better shooter than both of those guys. So, again, it goes back to my point of when we were talking about D-Wade needs to be more aggressive. I think the Heat just need to be more aggressive in the fourth quarter. They need to go to the bucket and not settle for outside shots because the Thunder can settle for outside shots with Durant. And as you mentioned, Derek Fisher, a very good outside shooter. Westbrook can shoot from the perimeter as well. So I think that they need to just stay on their game in the fourth quarter and not settle for those outside jumpers. But the Thunder just are such a good team in the third and fourth quarter. They have been all year, and they're very good free throw shooters, and that is key to win a game late. So I think that the Heat are in trouble, honestly, but they do need to be more aggressive.
All right. Now, of course, I mentioned Game 2 is 4 in the morning here in Israel, which is, of course, 9 o'clock, I think, Eastern time. Is that right? Okay, 9 o'clock Eastern time, catering to all across the United States. Let's get your prediction, Ari. OKC won Game 1, very pivotal because if Miami wins, they get home court advantage. They lose, they go down 0-2 and head back to Miami. So what do you think will happen tonight in Game 2 of the NBA Finals?
I don't see any reason why OKC won't win Game 2.
Wow.
You take a look at Game 1, they got 5 points from James Harden. You have to think that Harden will have a better night. Maybe he had some Game 1 jitters. You know, his shooting touch wasn't quite there, but Harden is a great player and a great shooter. So I think he'll come to life, and the Heat may forget about him, focusing on Westbrook and Durant, and maybe Cephalosha not allowing him to shoot from the perimeter. But bottom line is, until the Heat beat the Thunder in a game, I don't see how they can really win this series or even win any games in this series, bottom line. So I'm going with the Thunder at home tonight to take a 2-0 lead.
And before we let you go, let's to ask you your thoughts about the David Stern comments to Jim Rome. When Jim Rome asked about the conspiracy that the lottery was fixed, he asked it twice. David Stern said, do you beat your wife? Trying to make the pun that you can't really answer that question without looking really bad. Did you think David Stern was a little out of line with talk show host Jim Rome?
I think he was a little bit out of line. You know, I heard those comments this morning, and, you know, you think about it, the way he answered that question, it makes me think he has something to hide. If you don't have anything to hide, you say, Jim Rome, like, I know people speculate that, but this is how it works. There's no way that this can possibly happen, and it's not fixed. But he didn't really give a definitive answer. He was just like, how can you say that, yada, yada, yada. And I think that kind of answer tells me, you know, something's up with the lottery. I think it is fixed. So I think David Stern was not smart with that answer. I didn't really like the way he answered. Now, I don't really like Jim Rome. I don't think a lot of people like Jim Rome, but I got to give him credit for asking the commissioner that question. And, again, the way he answered it leads me to believe that there is something fishy about that if you look at who has won the draft lottery over the last several seasons.
Yeah, great point there. There's been some weird times with the lottery. I think obviously people always point to Patrick Ewing in '85, the frozen envelope. When Michael Jordan got that pick with the Wizards in '01, I thought that was a little weird. There's been a couple other weird ones, especially when you look at the odds of the team winning the lottery, and everyone thought that it was going to go to Charlotte. Now, before we let you go, we're obviously got to talk about your Phillies. Utley apparently is injured. In rehab. So tell us about what his status is right now.
Well, Chase Utley just played his second game in Single A, Clearwater, Florida, last night, and he went 2 for 5 with a double and a couple of runs scored. And that's much better than his first game, which was a couple nights ago. He went 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. So he is on his way back. He's just DHing as of now. He is not playing the field, but he is planning to play some second base either at the end of this week or next week. And if things are going well, he should be back by the beginning of July. He'll probably be in the minor leagues for 2 to 3 weeks rehabbing, making his way back up to the major leagues. But right now he's just in Single A, and he's making some good progress. So hopefully the Phillies can have him back kind of soon because the Phillies certainly need him.
Okay, so we hope the best for Utley out there and hope he can get everything to the proper form. All right, we're going to let you go, but Mr. Bluestein, anything like that? Mr. Bluestein's, by the way, wearing a Phillies hat.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Phillies hat, and I just make sure you give a kiss to that beautiful granddaughter of mine, your daughter, Brianna.
Yeah. All right, I will. And good way to represent Philly by wearing the Phillies hat. I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. Be well out there.
Oh, and happy early Father's Day, Dad.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Ari.
All right.
All right, have a good day.
All right, you too. That was our Philadelphia insider, Ari Bluestein, here on IsraelSportsRadio.com. And let's switch mics for a moment and have Rafi get back in here.
All right, it's you're back with Raphael right now, and we are going to be dialing up Robert Rothbart from Slovenia. Well, we'll tell you a little bit more about him in the interview. We actually sent him questions before the interview to make sure everything was okay. He requested them, and we're very excited to have him on. He's a member of the the Israel national basketball team, plays for Powerhouse Union Olympia, which is in Slovenia. So we're actually going to be calling him in Slovenia. Great basketball tradition there, great soccer tradition there. Really, soccer's been very great there. A lot of guys playing there. And I think I'm blanking on the name, but a point guard for the Rockets is from Slovenia. So very exciting to have him on. And we're going to try and figure out how to call Slovenia, because we've never have on the program. So let's see. Okay, okay. So we're gonna go to commercial for a minute so we can try and figure out how to dial up Slovenia. So we'll be back in about hopefully less than 60 seconds. So stay with us.
The All Sports Talk Network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every...
Back on Lewis Live right now. We're going to try Slovenia again, Robert Rothbart. So let's see if this works. This should work. Oh, it appears it's working. Very excited to have Robert on the show. And very interesting background for this guy. We're dialing him up. Hope he picks up. Having a problem. Hi, am I speaking with Robert?
Yes, hello.
Hey, Robert. You're on Lewis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
It's great to have you on. We're excited to have you on. We've had a lot of great Israel or national team Israeli players on in Israel, but we've never had someone who's playing abroad. So let's get right into it. And I want to, for a minute, I want to tell our listeners a little bit about you, if you don't mind. If you don't mind that.
Great.
And you have 3 citizenships. That's something that's so rare. I have 3 citizenships, Robert. I'm Canadian, American, and Israeli. But you have Israeli citizenship, Serbian citizenship, and then Bosnian citizenship. And you also lived in the United States for a while. So you've pretty much been everywhere. And, of course, right now you're playing in Union in Slovenia, one of the powerhouse EuroLeague teams in the world. So just wanted to tell our listeners a little bit more background about you. You've played in Israel. You've played in Paris. You've played everywhere, really. Let's be honest. So I want to start off, Robert, and ask you what it's like when you get to represent Israel and be a part of the Israel national basketball team and go to training camps and play with all the other guys. And what is that like for you?
Okay. I'll just start off by adding that I do have American citizenship as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
What it's like, it's great, for Jews that grew up, outside of Israel. I think it's a special and unique experience. For us, sometimes just visiting Israel is unique, but to actually be able to, represent the country is something that is admired by, I think, many people, especially by me, and it's a great honor to be able to be chosen. It's almost a kind of a service that you're servicing the country, so it feels great.
Right, and there's been a lot of great players who've played on the Israel national team. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about what it's like. A lot of you guys play. Not all Israelis are playing in Israel. I think that's a myth. A lot of people think there's guys playing in Italy and Russia. So when you guys meet, do you guys talk about what it's like playing in the different countries and compare it to what it's like playing in Israel? Because all of you have played in Israel, and a lot of you have moved on to Europe. So do you guys ever talk about the differences between Israeli basketball and European basketball?
Yeah, we definitely do. Just from a professional standpoint, we're curious, to know how different places are, and especially for the guys who do play overseas and are looking to continue playing overseas, it's great to know what different countries are, because every country is different, whether it's Israel or, Europe. Every country has its own characteristics. So, yeah, we always discuss it, and we always let each other know what coaches are like, this and that and so on. But I definitely think that Europe is much different than Israel on a basketball standpoint. In many aspects, So yeah, it's a different experience. I've played in Israel for years, and here it's a different experience. Both have good and bad, and I love having all those different experiences.
Right. And I want to move on now and ask you what it's like to have played in the EuroLeague and in the Adriatic League. Because, the EuroLeague, I always made the argument with my friends that the EuroLeague is just as exciting as playing like a team like the Nets or a very bad team in the NBA. The EuroLeague is so exciting, so competitive. You get to travel all across Europe, go to crazy stadiums, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, Milan. So what has it been like for you to play in the EuroLeague?
Oh, man, EuroLeague, this is my first season this year, right. And it kind of came out of nowhere in my career, and it was such a great experience. Not only that, at the end of the actual EuroLeague season, I had a chance to play lots of minutes because some changes were made on the team. So, I got to play against teams like Barcelona. We had a hard group, a really tough group, but I got to play against some of the greatest players in the world, the greatest teams. But I think that all players kind of feel the same way. Just like you said, it's one of the most exciting basketball levels that I've ever actually seen or been a part of. And the game is so clean, and there's not a lot of
I don't know how to explain it, like stuff around like dirty play and things like that. There's good refereeing, and the game is so clean and, like you said, just competitive that I feel like I would almost play for free if it was EuroLeague.
Right, and yeah, like you mentioned, it's exciting. I also understand that you also play in the Adriatic League this year, which is a lot different than the EuroLeague, but quite an experience because playing, in the EuroLeague and the Adriatic League, you see the difference. You go to stadiums one night, let's say when there's 12,000, crazy fans, and then in the Adriatic League you go and play where there's only 1,000 fans. So what is that like mentally to have to, switch so quickly to play in front of crazy, crazy fans to then sometimes play in front of empty gyms in really, really, really small countries all across Europe?
Well, actually, Adriatic League, to my opinion, is probably one of the top basketball leagues in Europe, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and not only that, this year there were four EuroLeague teams in Adriatic League,
Right.
so it was, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
So it is a different feel, like you said. It's bus trips, and you're coming to little smaller gyms, and clubs with less of a budget, but definitely the basketball in the Adriatic League is, the fans are just as crazy and the people love it, and it's very serious. So I was also fortunate that, that was our national competition, the Adriatic League, so we really had a hard year as far as competition is concerned. But yeah, playing EuroLeague kind of, because it is a higher level, no matter how great the Adriatic League is, it kind of prepares you better for Adriatic League and for other things. So I think it definitely helps a player.
Absolutely, yeah. And I believe Partizan played in Euro and Adriatic, Maccabi, you guys, and then I'm blanking.
And KK Zagreb.
Right.
KK Zagreb.
Right, there you go. So four teams.
Which they did,
And yeah, very, very excited to have. Really, it's cool to have someone on who's played in both of those leagues. I want to ask you, because we had on Derek Sharp last week, and we asked him, what is it like to play in the domestic league, play in the EuroLeague, and play in the Adriatic League? I mean, do you get tired? It's been a long season for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long season, especially because the work ethic here in this part of Europe is very, very developed. I would say they really like to work the players, so we didn't really have a lot of off days and things like that. But you do get tired, but everything is done in the range of professional sports, and nothing is dangerous. So you get tired, but it's all fun. And like you said, if there's a EuroLeague game coming up tomorrow night, then you forget about being tired and you just go out and get excited to play basketball. And that's what's beautiful about it, is that it gets that childhood excitement back out of you. Is definitely in EuroLeague, and those high level basketball games definitely get that out of you.
Right, and Robert, the next thing I'm going to ask you about, I'm very sensitive too, because I'm a Hoosier and I lived in Indiana, and I gotta tell you, we were so excited about you coming. I was in Bloomington at that time. I think it was 04, 05, or 03, 04. I don't really remember, but I know you got to do what's best for you. You got to do what you feel is best. But can you maybe go a little into why you decided that college basketball wasn't the best thing for you? Attending Indiana University, I believe at the time under Coach Davis, wasn't the best thing for you.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry to disappoint.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I made that decision because, unlike many, high school kids at that time, I had other options,
Right.
and I had some options, and also being from Europe originally, I wasn't afraid to go here. It actually, I was willing and I wanted to, and it seemed like a new adventure. And I kind of already spoke French, and wanted to have the opportunity to live in Paris for 2 years and play professional basketball out of high school isn't something that was, it wasn't taken lightly in my head. So yeah, I was very excited about that opportunity to go and play in Paris and possibly start my professional career. And I always knew that I wanted to be a professional basketball player. So it was an opportunity to get it done right away. So hope I didn't disappoint too much, but that's life.
Yeah, no, that's life. And I mean, I being from Israel and being in Indiana, I was trying to tell a lot of my friends that like they didn't understand why someone wouldn't want to go to the great IU, and I would explain to them that you're European, you have options. It's not like you decided to not go to IU because you didn't want to go to IU. It's because you wanted to play professional basketball, and you had the opportunity, as you said, to go to Paris, one of the best cities really in the world, in my opinion. So, Robert, I'll forgive you. I'll speak for Indiana, who's your fans, and I'll say I'll forgive you. And we kind of touched on this earlier, but I want to ask you, you've played now in so many different places. You've been in high school as well. What has been your favorite stadium to play in? I mean, in anywhere from high school to your pro career in Israel, to your pro career in Europe, to I mean, just you've played everywhere. So please tell our listeners your favorite place that you've played in.
My favorite place, well, the most amazing place I've played as far as greatest gym is definitely this year was in Stožice in Ljubljana. It was it's a state-of-the-art arena. But my favorite place to play in of all times would I think it would have to be in the Pierre de Coubertin in Paris, where we played. They don't play there anymore, but it was a nice atmosphere. It was, the French league was exciting, and all the gyms in France were really homey, like 3,000 people, a capacity of 3,000 packed with 4.5, and things like that. But yeah, definitely in France and Paris was fun. When that place was getting filled up, it was really nice, and I liked practicing there, and had a great time of my life there. So I think it would be in Paris.
Okay, interesting. It's funny. I didn't expect you to say that because I don't know much. I feel like French basketball, out of all the European big countries, is one of the ones that people don't know about. So that's interesting to hear that. And my next question for you is, obviously your family, you had to leave because of the war, and is your family still in Bosnia? Do you ever go visit? Obviously the war has kind of gone by now. It's in the 90s. How do you keep in touch with family? Where is your family? I mean, like you said, you have 4 citizenships. So when someone asks you where you're from, what do you say?
I'm from my mother's womb. That's where I'm from. Okay. I don't really say where I'm from because I have many places that I'm from, but actually my family lives in the States now, in California.
Okay.
Both my parents are there, and Bosnia is slowly becoming less and less a part of our lives because all the real estate that my family owned before the war, slowly we're selling it and things like that. But it's slowly becoming less and less a part of our lives. Even though my dad does have a vacation home next to Croatia, which is in Bosnia, so I'm actually going there next Sunday. So
wow, okay.
So that's kind of, but Bosnia is not so much a part of my life that much anymore, even though I don't have anything against it, just the way life carries you.
Yeah, I mean, things, who knows? Who knows, Robert? Maybe in 10 years it will. I mean, that's the way life works. Next question I wanted to ask you about, do you see yourself coming back to Israel? I mean, you're still young. That's what you started your career in 2004. Right out of high school, so you're still 25. In basketball, LeBron's 27, and he still has a lot of good years left. So you still have probably a good 10 years left of your career. Do you see yourself coming back maybe to play for Maccabi or Hapoel Jerusalem, or what are your goals right now for your future with your career? And what is your goal? In 10 years when your career is done, what do you want to say that you were able to accomplish in your career?
Well, I truly enjoyed my time in Israel, and I actually served 2.5 years of the army, and played for different clubs. Currently, right now, I'm really trying to maybe stay in Europe maybe a couple more years and play on some teams, maybe some EuroLeague team next year and things like that. But definitely I would love to come back to Israel and live there. It would be much more comfortable, much more comfortable lifestyle. Just right now, I don't see it happening in the near future from a professional standpoint, but I would love to play in Israel again and love to come back if the situation was right for me,
Interesting. And the last question I wanted to ask you about, NBA playoffs are going on. You're a professional basketball player. Do you follow the NBA? Is that something that interests you?
To be honest with you, I don't follow the NBA.
Wow, okay. No, that's interesting.
Yeah, because ever since I got to Europe, if you want to watch the games live, you have to stay up all night and, certain games. And I really don't follow it anymore. I'm more of a family man now. I'm like, I watch basketball, sometimes here and there, and, certain, EuroLeague is more what I watch and things like that, and, certain things in Europe. But yeah, definitely you're not gonna find me staying up all night to watch a basketball game anymore.
All right, and then the last question: you spent 2010, 2011 in Maccabi Haifa. There's a new American coach there, Brad Greenberg, a great guy. We've had him on the show. Former GM, former assistant coach, former college coach. Do you see yourself? Or do you ever consider yourself going back to Maccabi Haifa? They're building up the team. They moved to a new stadium. Do you see? Is that a good situation, you think, for you in the future?
I don't know much about Brad, but seems like he knows a lot about basketball and everything. Obviously, Jeff wouldn't hire him if he didn't.
Right.
And I actually loved Haifa. It was my favorite place out of all my 4 clubs that I played for in Israel. Definitely by far my favorite place from all aspects. So I would love to go back to Haifa, Just like I said, if the opportunity was right for me, because I'm really focusing on the basketball standpoint of my life now, my career, not so much just looking to come back to live in a certain city or things like that. So I would love, if the opportunity was right, I would love to be in Haifa and meet Brad and play for him if the opportunity was right for me.
And, we'd be happy to have you back in the Holy Land in Israel. Robert, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we'd love to have you on in the future, follow your career. We're big fans of you at Israel Sports Radio, and we appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, Robert, have a good day.
Lots of good luck. Bye.
Bye. All right, Robert Rothbard from Union Olympia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'll probably get made fun of. But I definitely watched them play in Slovenia, a powerhouse team. I think their stadium seats 12,000. That's pretty big for a country that's population is 3 million. They played in the Premier A Slovenian League this year, the Adriatic League, and the EuroLeague, along with Maccabi playing in the Adriatic League and the EuroLeague. Very, very difficult. We had Derek Sharp on the show last week. He said it was one of the most grueling seasons. They played more games than the NBA played this year. I believe Maccabi played, I think they went 73-12, 72-13, something along those lines. So it really, really good stuff there. It's always great to have players on from foreign, from not Israel. We've had a lot of great players on in Israel, but 85 games I've been told right now. So I think Maccabi had a great season. Union had a great season, and I'm just going to talk about the NBA Finals for about a minute, and then we're going to talk about the NHL playoffs. And obviously, if anyone listens to our show, they know I'm not going to be doing that segment. But tonight, I think the Heat are going to win. Call me crazy. I think they played really well in the first game. They just kind of collapsed in the second half. They were winning, in the fourth quarter, they were winning the game with I think 4 minutes left in the third quarter. I really like this team. I really like everything they've been doing. I love LeBron. I hate the hate on LeBron. It drives me insane. LeBron's my boy. I love him. I will always love him. He's won 3 MVPs. He obviously could have been Derrick Rose last year, in my opinion. I think he was top 5 in the voting. This is the best player in the NBA by far. Sorry if that hurts your feelings if you're a KD fan. I'm not, or I mean, I am, but I just think LeBron is the best. I hope he can win a title so everyone just leaves the man alone and you can be in peace. He needs help, though. That's definitely the issue. He needs help from Dwayne. He needs help from Chris. And he needs help from Mike, Shane, and guys who really have disappeared this year on him. Norris Cole, the first-round pick out of Cleveland State, and Mario Chalmers, who I don't really know what's been going on with him. Really, the guy, though, who really needs to pick it up is Dwayne Wade, a guy who 6 years ago won the NBA championship, was touted as then. That kind of got him to be the superstar, and he hasn't really played that well in the playoffs. He had a knee injury, and he went to go see Tom Crean, my boy at Indiana University. Tom Crean gave him some good advice. He came back the next game, had 30 points, but very inconsistent. I don't think we've ever said that really about Dwayne. That's not been a way that we would characterize his career. So that'll be very exciting to see what happens tonight. I missed game one because I couldn't stay up, but tonight I'll probably stay up for game 2 tonight. I really hope the Heat can win. Then the next 3 games, of course, are in Miami. Just an update on the Euro, since we had 2 great segments today on the Euro. Italy and Croatia are 0-0 in the 24th minute. We're going to go to a commercial right now, and on the other line, Laurie Brownstone, who's going to break down the NHL playoffs with us. So stay with us. That's going to be our last segment. Next week, to remind everyone, on Tuesday, we will be having, very proud to announce, we'll be having Kevin Gilbride of the New York Giants offensive coordinator, and Charles Squirky of the Chicago Bulls, the voice of the Chicago Bulls. And a new update for our listeners, Marcus Teague of Kentucky has agreed to come on the program. He's a really nice guy. Luckily, I got the Indiana connection with him, and he agreed to come on. He's was really nice about it. I expect him to be harder, more difficult about it. We'll see what happens with that. We're very excited to have him on. He's being projected as between 20 and 28 from what our guys have been telling us, our gurus from NBADraftChat.com. And, of course, Joe Kudach, who runs the NBA Draft Express, or NBA Draft, let me get it for you, editor-in-chief at Pro Basketball Draft, sorry. So he told us 20 to 28. I read a mock draft that said 16. I'm not really sure if I buy the hype, but we're going to have him on. A lot of great guests. Mark Stein's going to join us from ESPN. Simi Rager will probably come in the studio. Tommy Smith to talk soccer in the Euro. Probably by then we'll be in the quarterfinals or semifinal stage of the Euro. So we're going to go to a quick commercial on their line. Laurie Brownstone, who's going to break down the NHL playoffs. And thank you for staying with us. That was a great interview with Robert. And we'll be right back. So please stay with Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Body and Soul Gym in the heart of Talpiot. Great machines, excellent staff, and wonderful classes such as Pilates, yoga, and kickboxing. Give them a call at 02-678-8861. Once again, that's 02-678-8861. www.body-soul.co.il. Once again, that's www.body-soul.co.il. That's Body and Soul in the heart of Talpiot, which is great for your body and your soul.
You're already using a credit card every day. Why not feel good every time you make a purchase? When using the HAS Advantage Support Israel Visa card, a percentage of each purchase you make will be donated to your choice of 24 Israeli-based charities, while still earning a reward point for every dollar spent. But wait, these rewards are even better than the standard rewards you get, especially when using them towards Israel travel, with the best conversion rate on El Al's Matmeed frequent flyer program. Earn double points at some of your favorite supermarkets and restaurants in the U.S., as well as discounts all over Israel. If you love traveling and supporting Israel, HAS Advantage is the card for you. Just give us a call toll-free at 1-866-6-ISRAEL. Sign up right now with the code ISR10 to earn 2,500 bonus points. That's 1-866-647-7235. HAS Advantage. Earn rewards. Support Israel. Offer valid for U.S. citizens only. Terms and conditions do apply. When dialing from within Israel, please dial 1-800-200-818.
Israel Sports Dynamics specializes in football consulting, equipment, uniforms, and more. Great brands such as Nike, Russell Athletics, Shutt Sports Products, and many more. Just one call away. With over 30 years coaching experience with university and professional athletes, Terry Hill, owner of ISD, can advise you for all your sports needs. Call 054-581-3248. That's 054-581-3248, or visit our website at www.isdisrael.com. If that's not easy enough, click on the ISD banner on the Israel Sports Radio website and be part of the game.
Back here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Our thanks to Robert Rothbart. Very big man, by the way. I've seen him in person, about 7 feet tall. Very huge basketball player here in Israel, and it was great to have him on. We appreciate his time. He's been on the program before, actually. Had a lot of fun. Gives a lot to charities as well, and so they given of his time. And he was on. We had a kids show about a year and some change, and Robert Arthur came on just so the kids could interview him, even though it wasn't the mainstream audience, and that was very, very nice. And so we certainly appreciate there. We're going to dial up our next guest. She's a very funny woman, and knows her sports. She actually had the Devils losing in 6 to the Kings. So Lori Brownstone will be coming on in a few seconds. Want to remind everyone to check out our store. We click on the store tab on IsraelSportsRadio.com. Hey, Lori, welcome to Louis Live. How you doing out there?
Hey, Ari, I'm fine. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So New York City, is it still as weird as I remembered it?
It's still weird. It's still weird. As soon as the Rangers lost, they shut down. Nobody spoke hockey here. It was all in. It was all in Jersey.
Now, what is the weirdest thing that you've seen in New York so far?
Well, the weirdest thing. I can't say it online, otherwise you might ban me. I've seen people walking around here without any clothes on. That's pretty weird. Except they have a little Jersey shirt on, a little Devil shirt on. That I've seen.
Have you seen
pretty bizarre.
Have you seen Naked Cowboy yet?
I haven't yet, but I'll go look for it today.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. A good friend of mine, actually, you saw him perform comedy thing, Mark Spear. He said that's the thing. In Israel, people beg for money. They don't have to do anything. In New York, when they beg for money, you have to dress up in a cowboy hat naked. You have to really earn your money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Times Square as I get off with you, and I'll go and track him down. I'll take a picture for you.
Now, let's also talk Times Square. By the way, my parents used to live in New York in way back, and it was people forget Times Square was a disaster, but now it's Disneyland. It's still like that, right?
Yeah, it's they shut off everything and it's just a pedestrian walkway, and they have people dressed up in Disney outfits, Spider-Man, Superman's walking around. Of course they charge about $5 or $10 to get a photo with these characters, but it's a way to make money. It's actually a lot of fun to go down there if you want to be smushed and sweat all over everybody. It's just a blast.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But now that I live here, I don't need to go there anymore.
Yeah. Once you live there, when you lived in Arizona, how often did you really go to the Grand Canyon?
I think I went once. I lived there 15 years. I think I went once, only because we had out of town guests. I walk by the Empire State Building. I look up. I think about going in the lobby, and I go, maybe next week.
Right.
So I doubt if I'll ever get up there.
Yeah, I mean, in 25 years, I think I went to the Grand Canyon 3 times, and one of them was there was some out of town of people. Now, I'll tell you something. Not only are you a comedian, but you should consider yourself a sports expert, because you had this right. We had you on record of saying the Kings in 6, and they won it in 6. How did you know that was going to happen?
I was so right. Well, it's 6, No, seriously, a gut feeling told me. And actually, I thought I would be wrong once the LA Kings, won 3-0. I was actually disappointed. I thought the first 2 games could have gone either way because they were in overtime and it was really close, even though LA played a little better. But I was stunned when the Kings won their third game. I forget the score. I think it was 4-0 or something, and it was horrible. It was actually, if I can recap, and when it was just very depressing series. I thought, great, the Kings are going to sweep it in 4. So I was really happy when the Devils came back. At least they made it a little more interesting. The final game was a little boring, though. I mean, when Steve Bernay took that 5-minute major penalty at the beginning of the first period, that just ended the entire game. And then the Kings, scored 3 goals, and that was over. So it was kind of depressing. And I also knew that LA would win for this particular reason. Not to plug this, but I'm originally from Canada, and LA Kings have 25 Canadian players versus the New Jersey Devils, which only had 7 Canadian players. So that's how I called it.
Okay, so that's really what did it, was the Canadian pride.
I think so. Hey, it's a Canadian game. What can I say? When you have 25 players on your roster, what can I say? There are 25 happy Canadians who now can play golf in LA. So I think it's very, very exciting for them to be there.
Yeah.
But even though the Devils won, the Devils lost. And I was reading the Star Ledger the other day that actually just being in the Stanley Cup Finals ended up generating more than $30 million into the coffers in New Jersey. So even though the Devils didn't win, it was certainly a boost to that local economy.
Wow. Okay.
And I can just imagine that LA is even more than that. What we didn't talk about before that I think is important for hockey, a little bit on a serious note, I think LA winning this year was really good for hockey because LA is such a huge media place. I mean, here all of a sudden you've got beach bums and ice hockey mixing together, and it's making it a little bit cool. Kids are going to see this. They're going to see the celebrities. Matthew Perry was there. Alyssa Milano was there for almost every game. And when they see these celebrities go to these games and the LA Kings win, all of a sudden they feel like a winner, and the young kids in Southern California want to come out and start playing. And I think it's a boost for hockey in that area. So I think as long as LA doesn't totally destroy the city in their parade in a couple hours, which is starting, I think they'll be fine, and I think it's good for them.
One of the things I saw on Yahoo.com regarding the NHL was, Wayne Gretzky, who of course was traded to the Kings in '88, and the documents of the trade from the Oilers to the Kings are up for sale. How much do you think they'll go for? There's actually a number on. No, seriously, there's not a number on here. How much do you think really they'll go for? I can't believe someone would want to. I'm sure someone's going to buy it, but how much do you think they'll sell for?
I have no idea. I'm guessing maybe $100,000. What do you think?
At least 6 figures, maybe even a little more. I wouldn't be surprised if it was $250,000. It was such a big trade for hockey history, but just funny. I mean, anything. Luis Gonzalez spit out a piece of gum, and it's sold on eBay for a few $1,000s. People buy. What's the weirdest thing you've ever bought on eBay?
I've never bought anything on eBay because I'm old. I can't figure it out, Ari.
Yeah, well,
No, the weirdest thing I ever bought. You know what? Nothing. I'm sorry. I'm boring. I've not bought anything on eBay at all. One of these days I'll be able to figure it out.
Well, you're not alone. I never tried to sell something on eBay a couple of times. It didn't really work out. If I was able or had the ability to buy something on eBay that was really weird, it might be. Let's see. What is something really weird? Well, I watched a public access show where I can't even say on there. Ask me on Facebook. I'll have to tell you the story. I don't want to say.
All right, I'll tell you the story, and I'll tell you the real story about eBay. I can't say it on the air.
Oh, okay. I had to feel it was the real story.
But anyway, what did you think of the series? I thought it was really exciting once the Devils came back, and I thought that was a wonderful game, and then it just kind of fell to pieces.
Yeah, and what was there was a penalty in Game 6 by the Devils that set up the power play, and 3 goals in a row scored by the Kings. What did you think of that penalty? Is he the GOAT in the series? I forget his name, but that gentleman on the Devils who did that?
It was Steve Bernier, and he's like a 4th-string player, and this was probably, I read an article by Martin Brodeur, the Devils goalie, and he was, trying to console the guy in between periods, and unfortunately, he's going to be the guy who people are going to point fingers at and say, hey, we could have won this game and we lost the Stanley Cup because of you. But in all reality, the Kings did come back and score, a few more goals, but I think it set the stage. Once that was a boring game. Who wants to see a Stanley Cup final game when you're watching and it's 3-0? So, it was kind of a letdown. But, it's not only him, it's the other players too, but it was kind of, but I'm glad the LA Kings won. Just for some trivia, it's the second time in NHL history that a captain from a team is an American. So that was kind of a unique scenario. When Brown hoisted it, there was only one American in over 100 years before him that could hoist the cup.
Wow.
He was the captain. So that's kind of interesting.
And, speaking of captains, Zach Praise says that he likes it in Jersey. He's not going to the Rangers. How can anyone like New Jersey? Is he on something?
I have no idea. He must get a lot of perks living there. There are parts of New Jersey, not Newark, but there are parts of New Jersey that are really nice, and he's probably settled there. Yeah, I read that too, and I don't know. My gut feeling tells me that he's not going to stay with the Devils. He's not going to go to the Rangers, but he's not going to stay. He is an unrestricted free agent, so he can go absolutely anywhere he wants, and I'm sure there's a lot of teams who want him. I think Martin Brodeur is going to stay. He is a free agent, but he's a restricted agent, so I think as long as the Devils want him, he's going to stay.
Okay, so we'll see what happens there. Keep an eye on that. And still staying with hockey, of course, the Coyotes. It looked like it was tilting for them staying in Glendale, and then there's a watchdog group, the Goldberg Group, is going to try to nix the leasing agreement of Jobbing.com Arena, where of course the Coyotes play. The Goldwater Institute, that is. Why would they do that? Well, I mean, let's have the Coyotes stay. I don't want them. I know you would like them to go to Winnipeg, but. Or wherever they might go, actually. Where would the Coyotes go if they leave? Do you know?
I heard some rumors that they would go to Seattle.
Seattle, okay.
Seattle. Of course, they're from Winnipeg, and I kind of have a connection there. I was born and raised in Winnipeg, but I did spend 25 years of my life in Arizona before I moved to New York. And I love the Coyotes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they moved. And it's more of, obviously, it's a business deal no matter how they pack the arena. If they're losing a little bit of money, they're going to go. And I heard that, I did hear that Phoenix Seattle may be the place that they go. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. There's been talk of this for the last couple of years, and then something pulls out at the last minute, and we're here for at least one more year. We're here for at least one more year. So we'll wait and see what happens. I hope to stay in Phoenix. I think Phoenix deserves a team. I know it's Arizona, but I figure if Florida and California can have a team, so can Arizona.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, what's wrong with us? I still consider myself someone in Arizona anyway, so I'm hoping the Coyotes end up staying there. Now, going back to the NHL Finals, the Kings are a young team, and what do you think for the future? Like a dynasty, can they win 3 or 4 cups in a row? We had someone on earlier from ESPN who thought, kind of the parity of the league, it wasn't really gonna happen. But what are your thoughts about all that?
No, you know what? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think, unlike football, there seems to be a lack of a dynasty. For example, Chicago, 2010, a young team, fantastic team, won the Stanley Cup easily, and then all of a sudden the next year they barely got into the playoffs. Pittsburgh wins last year. They couldn't make it out of the first round this year. So there seems to be, I would be surprised if LA actually came close to winning the Stanley Cup for next year. There seems to be large turnaround. So I believe, I don't believe it's going to happen. It's been many, many years before we've had back-to-back NHL champions. So I don't see it happening. I could be wrong. I think we're looking at, next year, I'd like to see the St. Louis Blues win. They're the only team in the same 67 expansion, the same one that the LA Kings came in, that has not won the Stanley Cup. And they did really well this year. I think they were second seed in their division, and I think they should win. And I'm kind of hoping they will for next year. I see them being strong. I also see, I'd like to see the Sharks win a little bit, but I don't see it. They tend to have a good season, and then they kind of blow it. My brother is a big Sharks fan, and I've seen a lot of games in the tank in San Jose, and yet they seem to just get there, and then they just fall apart. So I think next year, I think St. Louis, I think Nashville might be a contender, and I think we might see Boston. But I don't see LA doing it again, but I could be wrong. You got to ask me as the season starts. I think it all depends what happens in the draft, which I believe is in a couple of weeks. And we have to wait to see what happens in terms of injuries and see if any teams are transferred to another city.
Okay, and we'll keep an eye on that. And I want to get your take on this because you're someone in the you're in the entertainment industry, and ratings, money, all that kind of stuff, a big part of it. Stanley Cup Finals down this year, 29%. What do you think the reason for that? Obviously, last year was 7 games. Boston, a big market, but LA's a big market as well. So is Jersey, at least close to New York City, close enough. So why do you think it was lower this year, ratings-wise, for the NHL Finals?
Well, I can tell you that so many people in New York, once the Rangers lost, they didn't care about hockey. when I walked around here when the Rangers were playing the Devils, every place was showing it, every pub, every restaurant. As soon as there seems to be, even though Jersey's right beside the city, all of a sudden it's like nobody in the New York State was interested anymore. So I think that took a lot out of it. I think L.A., maybe not now because they won, but I think L.A. has a lot of other teams to contend with. You've got you have basketball. You have a lot of other teams. You have a lot of baseball teams starting, and I'm not a huge baseball fan, but you got the Mets, right, and you got the Yankees, and they're concentrating on that. So I think once the Rangers lost, there was a little bit of disinterest. And I think that was the biggest thing. And also, once LA won the first 3 games, I think people stopped tuning in because they thought, heck, LA's going to sweep it in 4. Why would I tune in? So I think that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, the 3-0 definitely threw an early lead. I think had a factor on it, and kind of a shame because I know hockey doesn't translate so well on TV, but when you see it in person, there's just really nothing like it, and it's really incredible stuff. All right, Lori, now kind of semi-stalking on Facebook, performing open mic. What's been in New York City? Tell us about those experiences for all the fans out here in Israel.
Well, it's kind of hard. It's a rough market out here. I got to plug that I'm going on the road next week, so I'm going with another couple of great comics, and I'm going to Oklahoma and Kansas for a short bit, but I'll be back here in about a week, and I'll be back hitting the stages here at the comedy clubs, and it's tough. I mean, it's a little bit more ruthless here. There's a lot more competition, and people here are excellent. So it brings up the standard of comedy. You have to work a little bit harder. It's almost like being the 10th seed in the NHL and having to play the first seed. You have to work a little harder, a little smarter, and that's what I'm trying to learn here. So, but it's exciting. I mean, I got a chance yesterday. I had an awesome set yesterday here in the city, and I got a chance to chat and hang out with Kathleen Turner's daughter last night. So that was pretty cool.
Wait, whose daughter?
Kathleen Turner's daughter.
Oh, cool.
Never mind. Are you too young, Ari?
No, I know who that is.
So we got to chat about him. I mean, this kind of stuff doesn't usually happen in Tucson, so that was pretty cool. Right. And I've got to meet a lot of awesome comics here in the area that I live. I live in Astoria, and there are comics that live 2-3 blocks away, and you bump into them. So it's kind of a little neat community here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hanging out here to see what happens. But in the meantime, nothing pleases me more than to talk about hockey. And I am in a lot, and I'm in a hockey environment now, so I'm actually excited. The beginning of the next season, I'm actually hoping to go to a couple of Rangers games. I only live about 10 minutes away, a 10-minute subway ride away from the Garden. So
oh, wow.
I'm excited. I would love to go see a game.
When is the last time you've seen a Rangers game?
I don't think I've ever seen a Rangers game. My brother lives in San Francisco, so I've gone out to see the Sharks play, and I've seen a couple of Coyote games, but it's been a long time since I've actually seen a game, and especially the Rangers game. It'll be my first one. I've never seen a game in Madison Square Garden, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like it is really the best arena in all of sports. Just so many things, Knicks and Rangers and Ollie Frazier 1 and 2, and just so much great stuff there. So that'll be a lot of fun. The season starts. It's not too long hockey. I mean, it's June now. We'll have it in November. Just gotta hold on. Buy some tickets early.
Hey, preseason starts in September, I believe, and the regular season in October. So we're only talking about. I mean, I like football. We're only talking about a couple of month break. I mean, when you have dozens of hockey teams, and the finals and the playoffs are all best of 7. I mean, when I was growing up, the season ended in March, so I never thought that the season would end almost in the middle of June. So it's kind of, I mean, for a hockey fan, it's great, but it seems a little long.
Yeah, I would say so. But all right, so you got something that tied you by till you watch your first Rangers game at Madison Square Garden. That'll be a lot of great stuff. And before we let you go again, any other plugs? Feel free to plug anything else you'd like here on Louis Live.
On Louis Live, well, I want to say hello to all my family and everything and friends out there. And please come to New York, come and see me at the clubs. Check me out on Facebook, and you'll find out where I'm going to be. And I'm looking forward to coming on your show next year and talking about hockey, especially after I've been to the Gardens.
Yeah, that'll be great. And we'll have you on before. Maybe talk Tim Tebow, Jets, Giants, all kinds of stuff. There's plenty to talk about.
That's right. That's right. As a matter of fact, my friends in Jersey, Tebow plays about 2 blocks away from him, practices.
Right, that's right.
So that should be interesting. So it'll be interesting, too, so I'll keep you informed on that, and I'll let you know what's happening. And and it's an exciting place to be. You know, comedy aside, you know, there's a lot of sports here, so it's really interesting.
All right, great stuff. We'll definitely keep up with you and find out what's going on. And we thank you for being on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Hey, thanks, Ari. Take care.
All right, be well. That was Lori Brownstone, very funny woman who came on, likes her hockey, and really tells it like it is. Really funny stuff. And that was great stuff. Really professional entertainer. As I've mentioned before in the past, she's been on the show several times, performs at USO shows, entertaining the troops out in Afghanistan, so great stuff there. That is our show for tonight. I want to thank everyone who was on the program. Where do we even begin? Let's see here. Mark Serber from Fox Soccer, discussing soccer. Cub Bunin from ESPN Radio. Joseph Kochak talk about the NBA draft. Philadelphia insider Ari Bluestein along with his father, Mr. Bluestein. Israeli national basketball team player Robert Rothart, and comedian Lori Brownstone. Stay tuned next week for a lot of great programming. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.